What up? What up? What up? Yes, Lord. Hold on. Let's share the screen real quick. This is going to be a very powerful live stream. The topic today will be Barry Bonds. You see the title of the video that we will review later on in the show. Why everybody hated Barry Bonds. This is going to be very powerful. I know it's been a minute. Since I dropped a video, live stream, etc. But I told you, World Cup time, I'm gonna be unavailable. World Cup's over, I'm available now. Okay. So I did warn you guys. I did warn you. Anyways, man. Anyways, how do you look at these sound bites? This new sound bite that I just added.
Feelings! Feelings!
Man, we ready, man. We ready, man. We ready. Paulo said, this ninja ain't posted in 3 weeks. Yeah. World Cup, man. World Cup. And even when you talk about the World Cup, I'll say this, the last 4 to 5 years watching football, right? We call it soccer here in America. I've been very disappointed in FIFA, the way that they're trying to adopt this American style of doing things where they try to manufacture a hero story in terms of lifting Messi up because he was struggling in international um and basically making it a cakewalk for him, letting him and his squad get away with everything. Similar to, the Patriots and Brady. I am not a fan of that. And this is not why I follow football. So I've been very disappointed in how FIFA has been letting Argentina, or basically whatever squad Messi's on, but specifically with Messi and Argentina, just letting them get away with murder over the past 4 to 5 years. How many Copa Americas in a span of how many years? Like it's been ridiculous. And the last 2 World Cups have left a bad taste in my mouth in terms of how openly biased the referees were in terms of just letting Argentina and the players just get away with murder just because Messi's on the team. So it is what it is. People can get offended by that. And you're even seeing it today. You're seeing Taylor. You got these guys, Taylor Twelman, and all these people saying that Messi should have been the player of the tournament. And you're just like, what in the hell is going on? Like, it was so shocking to see what I saw, especially in this World Cup, where they basically made all of the OGs, the OGs, people will say, oh, the OGs, they just hating on Messi because they like Maradona and they like the pass better. But you basically made them look like prophets. It was just crazy to see. So these past 4 to 5 years, in looking at how the media has really protected Messi, it has really opened my eyes, especially in these last 2 World Cups where it's undeniable. Now, that doesn't mean because I put this opinion online, on the soccer forums and all these things, and for some reason when you say this, people think that, oh, you're just saying that because you're a Ronaldo fan and you think Ronaldo's better than Messi. No, Messi's better than Ronaldo. But what I'm seeing, this is not cool, what I'm seeing. And really, even the past, really, since 2007 since 2008, I've been seeing this nonsense. You know what I mean? From in terms of the media propping up Messi. And I did tell you guys that superstars aren't necessarily You don't become a superstar. They groom somebody to be a superstar. So I've already told you guys that Messi was groomed to become this, but I still don't like what I've been seeing with just the blatant favoritism. Just the blatant favoritism over ever since I'll say ever since 2019 or I'll say since 2020 and the people in the media protecting him. It's been really bad. Like really, really, really bad. Um, shout out to Jill G Tactics. He says, "Sup, y'all? What was going on with Messi? I'm not too familiar with soccer." Well, Messi was getting the Tom Brady treatment. If you catch my drift, right? Where basically him and his teams, but specifically him in Argentina, they just get the referees let him and his goons do whatever the hell they want on the field. They get if you touch them and they go down, the ref is going to give them a penalty, even with the VAR system, even with the replay system. They got the meme, the famous meme now, penalty Argentina. It's not even an exaggeration. That's literally what's happening. And the past two World Cups, FIFA, particularly the president of FIFA, Infantino, I think his name is, he has set up Argentina to have cakewalks in these World Cups, in the group stages and in the brackets. In the knockout rounds, in the group stage and the knockout rounds, he has set up Argentina and Messi to be just basically just a cakewalk all the way to the final. Both World Cups, these last two World Cups, just cakewalks. And this one was so blatant. This World Cup was so blatant. How in the hell do you have a group stage? Argentina has the easiest group out of everybody by far. In their group, I think it was Algeria and two other teams, where Algeria was was the hardest team that they had to play. And then in their knockout bracket, the hardest team that they had on their side was England. And then everybody else, they had like Cabo Verde, they had who they had Switzerland. Like their side of the bracket there was nothing. And then meanwhile, on the other side of the knockout bracket was Portugal, France, Germany, Netherlands, um, Spain. I think. I think. Yeah, it was Spain. Like I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, how did he have all the stacked teams on one side, and then with Argentina's side, you only have England and literally everybody else? It was blatant. It was blatant favoritism. It was like I couldn't believe that this World Cup was really bad. Seeing that from Argentina. Argentina gets all the way to the finals. They lose the finals to Spain. The Argentina players get mad. They start punching people. Like I'm sitting there like, how are they getting away with this? But it was blatant favoritism. And guys, I'm not. Trust me, you know how I am on this channel. I'm not gonna lead you guys on some blatant, how do I say it? On some bias shit where I'm just putting my personal feelings, right? This is what exactly what I saw. This is exactly what I saw. Let me see if I can actually bring up FIFA World Cup bracket just to explain to you, if I can give it to you in a different, if I could put it in a different lens to you, because the bracket was crazy. The brackets were crazy. Let me see if somebody has a chart for the brackets, because when I remember seeing the chart for the first time, I could not believe it. I was like, this is crazy work. Let me see if I can bring this up. Which bracket? Where the brackets with both sides? Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, let me bring up the bracket from both sides. It was crazy work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this in a new tab. Share this tab instead. I'm going to show you the bracket. So on one side, this is Argentina's side, right to the right. They had Brazil. Yeah, it was basically Brazil and England were the two toughest people in on their side of the bracket, and they didn't even have to face them. So on Argentina's side of the bracket, they had Cabo Verde, and I'm talking about the knockout rounds. Cabo Verde, Australia, Paraguay, Switzerland, Algeria, Colombia, and Ghana. So that was their possibilities of teams to play in the knockout rounds. So that's on their side of the bracket. Meanwhile, on the other side of the bracket, you have Germany, France, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, and I'm missing one. I think Netherlands, yeah, Spain. What the how are all the strong teams on one side of the bracket, and then on Argentina's side, it's only England and Brazil, and they did not have to worry about facing them until the semifinals. Like it was so blatant. That's literally like that's like having a bracket. It's almost like how Alabama used to have it back in the day, where basically they could just have when they it's almost like how Alabama was able to when they would set up their college football season, they would have all these cupcakes that they get to face in the first half of the season, and then they face all the tough teams at the end. It's just this is just ridiculous. But anyways, yeah, padding the rosters on one side, yeah, but basically they've been giving him the Tom Brady thing. They're FIFA's adopting more of an American style way of doing things, and I cannot get behind that, you know. But this is exactly what it is. And if any soccer fan is going to tell you any different, they're lying to you. They're just straight up lying to you. I'm keeping it a buck all the way. Especially when it comes to sports, I don't want to just lead people the wrong way. I'm gonna just tell you exactly what I saw, and it's because it's something I've been like denying, trying to not really put it out there. But with this World Cup, it was blatant. It was ridiculous, you know. But anyways, shout out to you guys, you know. But we will go over later on this YouTube video that I saw, and it really it tickled me in a funny way. It tickled me. I thought it was this video was well put together. It says why everybody hated Barry Bonds, and it was just a guy. This is a baseball channel where he's just looking at it from the outside looking in, what was happening to Barry, his rift with the media, why he isn't in the Hall of Fame, um, the alleged steroids, accusations and all this stuff. So it's very so this is some very interesting things. I actually like this guy's channel. Baseball doesn't exist. I saw another video he did with Deion Sanders and why Deion Sanders was getting hate. So this is back in the 90s in the late 80s. So shout out to this guy. Baseball doesn't exist. I will be going over his video later on. Now, moving on to the first point of the story. Oh, sorry, of the show. Everybody's favorite what's it? Top G. Yep. So, according to BBC News, Tate brothers arrested in U.S. as further UK charges take total to 59. So this has been. Hold on. They said your browser has lost connection to your square. Hold on. What do you mean? Okay, hold on. Hit one in the chat if you still hear my audio. They're saying that I lost connection to for me speaking. Hit one in the chat if you can still hear me, because I don't know what just happened. Okay, because you see anytime I try to I try to talk about these dudes. Thank you guys. Every time I try to talk about certain dudes on YouTube, all of a sudden weird stuff starts happening to my browser and all these things. Let's come on, man. Let's not do this. But anyways, controversial influencer Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have been arrested in the U.S. after British authorities issued 38 new charges against the pair. So this is where I'm confused. I was like, wait a minute, didn't they allegedly beat the case? Well, I know. Well, I know they didn't beat the case, but they basically got away with whatever they did in Britain. So this is why they kind of moved to America, so they can just keep moving around, so they don't have to face any charges. So how did they get 38 new charges on top of the old case? So I'm a little bit confused about that. But these are the things that happen. So he says the UK's Crown Prosecution Service (CPS) said Andrew was being charged with 7 further counts of grape, as well as charges relating to sex trafficking and indecent images of a child. Tristan's charges include 2 counts of grape and 3 counts of arranging or facilitating trafficking or for sexual exploitation. The total number of charges against the brother is now 59. Oh man. Oh man, this is some funny stuff, man. The Chris Brown treatment. No, this is way worse than the Chris Brown treatment. They trying to get these ninjas killed. they try to get these ninjas. Like, well, I remember CJ was talking about this actually yesterday, and he brought up a great point where people don't understand. People like the Tates, they would have been deleted back in the day. Certain people, if they have a little bit too much influence and they have a say and they have a following, they are considered a threat. Now, in today's time, you can't just, delete people like that. Even though some, like, you have certain entities that can still do it, but it's if you're famous enough, it's not that easy to just get rid of somebody like that. You know what I mean? So we'll get more into that. We'll get more into this. I want to read the charges, because I think the whole situation with the Tates is kind of funny to me. I think it's very funny. The fans of Tates, I find them kind of funny because I don't really take those guys seriously. And then the women and the cucks and the what do you call the people that basically try to blame Tate for everything that goes wrong in their life. I think both sides are funny. But anyways, let's keep reading from the article. It says the alleged offending is said to have taken place between July 2010 and August 2017. The Tates have previously denied any wrongdoing. So they're basically going through during that time, that July 2010 through August 2017. That's when they had their little webcam business. Well, let me not say little. They had their webcam business. So anybody that's not familiar, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, they have often bragged about how they were basically pimping, having these girls that were in love with them, and then he was having them doing webcams, similar to an OnlyFans type of situation, and where basically the women, they would just look pretty on camera, and then the Tates self-admittedly said that they would take the keyboards and they would dirty talk with the Johns themselves. So their girls weren't even chatting with the customers. The Tates were doing that, and I remember hearing that for the first time on the Fresh and Fit live stream, and I was like, "That's some weird ish." But the fans, the Fresh and Fit weirdo fans, the Tate fans, they had no problem with this information at the time. But anyways, I'm still reading from the article. It says following their arrest, prosecutors will begin legal proceedings to extradite the brothers, who are dual British U.S. citizens, to the UK. The CPS said these charging decisions followed receipt of the further file of evidence from Bedfordshire police and bring the total number of alleged victims in this case to 7. Okay. Says Malcolm McHaffey, head of the Special Crime Division at the CPS. Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire police. These are some British ass towns right there. Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire police have been investigating a number of offenses in what it called a complex investigation. As a result, 38 new charges were authorized against the brothers, meaning Andrew, age 39, faces a total of 42 charges in the UK, and Tristan, age 37, faces 17. The U.S. Marshals confirmed to the BBC that the Tates had been taken into custody, while a U.S. Department of Justice spokesperson said the arrests were pursuant to extradition proceedings. A lawyer who represents the Tates, Joseph McBride, said the world knows Andrew and Tristan are innocent. In a statement released after their arrest on Saturday evening, he says their enemies know it best of all. This is exactly why they have been attacked. McBride continued describing the new UK charges as a political hit. Well, two things can be true. Two things can be true, man. So yes, of course, this is a political hit. But yeah, they are guilty of some things. Like, for example, remember the video that went viral where it was like Andrew Tate and his broad at the time, one of his broads, Vivian, and it was, I guess, them doing some physical foreplay, some borderline abuse foreplay, and they videotaped it. So I remember Vivian had stuck up for Tate and said, "No, this was our foreplay," and people were like, "You see, and then some people started doing the math. They're just like, "Wait a minute, how old are you now?" And then she revealed her age, and once they did the math, they realized that girl in that video was like 14, 15 years old. You know what I mean? 14, 15 years old. They did the math on it. And you're just like, well, this is. I was like, that is not a good look, bro. That is not a good look. XVY Jay-Z says, dang, Chris is back. I was worried for a second. I'll say this. Before the World Cup, I said, look, you probably not going to see me for a little bit. You know what I mean? Now, I didn't know that I was going to do like 0 videos. And I think I probably did 1. But I did 0 live streams in that time frame. And I'll say this. In one of the first, I think, was it the second group stage match day 2? I think, yeah, it was like Ghana versus somebody. I don't know who. I think it was Ghana versus Colombia or something. And I was in New York at the time. I was going to do a live streaming from the Pele store because New York Times Square was popping. Knicks was in the championship. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think the Knicks had already won the championship, or it was the week that the Knicks won the championship, and it was World Cup fever. Man, oh my God, it was popping in Times Square. Times Square was popping. I was because that specific day I was coming from a jazz club. I was watching a performance, and then I had some time before the performance because the performers were late. So I went in there the Jazz Club was right next to Times Square. Okay, I'm saying a little bit too much, but but I had some time and I was gonna stream live from when Ghana was playing. I forgot who Ghana was playing, but man, that store was hot. It was packed. The Pele store was packed. Times Square was packed. Wild week. Yeah, that week that I think it was I think we had the first week of the World Cup in what in New York. Oh my God! I told all the people that I knew at the time. I told like my actually let me not put her out there, but I remember telling a girl I knew at the time. I was like, "Don't go. Do not go to New York City. This is not the time." Actually, why Jay-Z probably thought I was locked up or YouTube or in YouTube timeout. Nah, not yet. He says a lot has happened. Tate got arrested. Yeah, yes, sir. But yeah, that first week of the World Cup, wild week in New York City. Wild week. A lot has happened to me personally too during this time I took a little bit of a break. Um, but we can get into that in a little while. Yeah, right. I'll say this right now. I'll say this specific year has been one of the weirdest years I've been in. One of the most awkwardest years. Like what the fuck? Like even when it comes to just women in general, um, just interesting. Just very interesting. It says Cape Verde and USA are teams to watch for the next World Cup. Well, unless if USA needs to change their youth structure, if they don't change how they do things in the youth level, they're still gonna get stuck on that same level. Um, Cape Verde really impressed me. They really impressed me. Like I got nothing but respect for how they showed up. They didn't even like they're one of the rare small teams. They didn't park the bus. They try to play. And it carried them very far. And I think they got very unfortunate against Argentina. So when we were talking about earlier the refereeing bias, like they were Cape Verde was facing a lot when they were going against Argentina because you're not just going against Argentina, you're going up against the refs, you're going up against FIFA. They almost had him. They almost had him. But it is what it is. I got nothing but respect for Cape Verde because they were really going for it. They were really trying to advance. They were really trying to make a run. I got nothing but respect. They didn't park the bus. They didn't play dirty. They didn't play dirty. They were clean. They did what they try to do to the best of their abilities. I got nothing but respect for that team. Um, those players. So hopefully, I would like to see what they do. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on them in the next AFCON qualifying. We'll see how they do in that. But USA, if they don't change how they do things in the youth, if they don't change what they do in the youth, USA is going to be still stuck. And we saw it versus Belgium. Belgium was the how do I say it? It was the litmus test because this is a post golden generation Belgium. Post golden generation. Remember, no more Hazard, no more you got Lukaku's on the bench, right? Belgium used to be freaking stacked. They used to be stacked. Like stacked, full of talent, right? Oh yeah, KDB on the bench because of his form and the injuries are starting to pile up on him. Like this is, but if USA wanted to consider themselves that okay, we're going somewhere, they had to beat Belgium. That was the litmus test, and they got smacked. You know, XVY Jay Z says France crumbled under zero pressure. I wouldn't say that. I would say France, as good as they are up front, they really miss that having that midfield of Pogba and Conte in their midfield. It seems like they've never really recovered from that. Even in the 2022 World Cup, where they made it all the way to the finals, um, it was still a weakness in that center mid. They don't, because without Pogba, without Conte, it's something missing in that midfield. Um, they still made, the third place match. They lost in the third place match. Mbappe was carrying that team. Um, so I'll say so far when it comes to France, this is what France's problem was. Because I watched damn near all of their games in this World Cup. Well, I watched everybody's games in the World Cup, but I'll say with France, this is what France's problem really was. The bench players outside of Barcola and Desiree Doué, the bench players did nothing. So people expected Cherky who else am I'm missing one other people. The other young stars on the bench to put in work, and they did not put in work. So the France's starting 11, they they were doing their job, but Mbappe was the focal point. He was really the only person keeping this team afloat. And if he doesn't score, or if he doesn't score, or Dembele doesn't, put in his shift, they have a problem. You know what I mean? So from my what I took away from the France team was Mbappe is still he still might be the best player in the world. It's either him or when you're talking about the best player in the world title, it seems like Mbappe is still the best player in the world. You know what I mean? If you want to say Holland is, but I wouldn't like me personally. Your top five must consist of Mbappe, Holland, Olise, and Harry Kane, and whatever order you want them to be. Now, for me, Mbappe is number one. Number two is probably Harry Kane, in my opinion. In my issue, it's probably Harry Kane. And number three, I was thinking Olise, but Olise, the way Olise got shut down by Spain was very interesting. Spain won the World Cup as a team. It was a full team effort, and their defense. I don't think Spain. Yeah, Spain didn't even concede. Spain didn't concede a goal the whole tournament. That was a overwhelmingly defensive display from Spain. So it is what it is with Spain. Spain won the World Cup like how they won it in 2010. Just solid in the midfield, great defensively, and then they'll sneak you. They'll sneak you. Like none of their goals were like great goals or anything. It was a goal. It's somebody snuck them. Marino snuck two of them in what's it, in the 6 yard box. Like a lot of their goals were in the 6 yard box, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0 tops, but it was a full team effort by Spain. Yamal didn't even play that well in the World Cup. I know some people were there's a female US women's soccer player, Carly Lloyd, I think that's her name. She was actually right. She was spot on. She said Yamal didn't even really play that well in the tournament, but Spain still won, and she's right. Yamal wasn't really much of a threat in the tournament. Well, that's because teams kind of honed in on him. So that's another thing. So he was getting a lot of double teams, triple teams. He didn't really get a chance to go 1v1 a lot of the times with his opposition. But Carly Lloyd was right. It was Spain. The reason why Spain won is it was a team. It was a team win. you know, and Carly Lloyd was right about Pulisic too. So I don't know why she was getting slack for that. She was right. Shout out to He in the chat. He says Pugniti. He says Norway and Ghana did great. Yeah, Norway did great. Norway did more than I thought they were gonna do. He says if you want to talk about carrying your team, let's talk about Holland. Well, Norway, it was more of a team. Norway were solid, just all the way around, and then Holland did his job. You know what I mean? But I don't think Holland is better than I don't think he's better than Harry Kane at the moment. No. Um Oh yeah, Bellingham. I forgot. Bellingham is probably top 5. Sorry. I forgot about Bellingham. Bellingham was nice in this World Cup. He Bellingham carried England. Here I am talking about Harry Kane. I completely forgot about Bellingham. Bellingham carried England in this tournament. You know what I mean? So yeah, Bellingham's got to be in your top 5 as well. Wait a minute. He says I'd say the next best players in the world would be Yamal, Holland, and Alexander. Well, Holland had he had a argument in 2022, 2023, where he could say he was the best player in the world. That first season he had with City, he has a argument for that. He says the MVP in the World Cup was the Argentinian keeper. Bro saved him from 11 possible goals. In the 2022 World Cup, yes. In this World Cup, I would say the best goalie to me was the Cape Verde goalie. What's his name? Vozinha, the 40-year-old. He had a hell of a World Cup. He had a hell of a World Cup. And technically, if you want to go off of numbers, Unai's what's his name? I keep messing up his names. Simon from Spain, because they didn't give up a goal, I think, the whole tournament. You know. XVYJZ says, he says, I never noticed how dirty Argentina was. And on top of the racism, I was glad they lost, but I do give them credit for how tough they play. Yeah, when you're facing Argentina, they're going to, when it comes to particularly their midfielders, they're going to win no matter the cost. No matter at whatever cost, they're going to spit on you. They're going to play dirty. They're going to pull on your shorts. They're going to say racist. They're going to whatever it takes to win. Same with Uruguay, to a lesser extent. Uruguay is the same way. Just dirty ass team. Dirty, dirty Chile's the same thing. Dirty ass team. Those, like, if I was a player, those are the last teams. Like, if I was a midfielder and if I was facing an international team, Argentina, Uruguay, Portugal back in the 2016 days, the 2018 days, these would be the last teams I would want to face, because like the midfielders that Portugal used to have, they were some tough, and the defenders, they were some tough people, man. The Portuguese midfield in this tournament, they sold out Cristiano Ronaldo. They just basically sold out the team. That was very disappointing. You had Vitinha and Joao Neves. I hope I'm saying his name right. And Bruno Fernandes. These guys, I'm never gonna look at them the same, because it looks like they weren't even trying to win. That was very disgraceful. And shout out to Quaresma for calling out the Portuguese team for what they was doing. Like that was, I think, in my opinion, that was a coup. That was a coup. where they just weren't they just didn't want Ronaldo in the starting lineup for whatever reason, and because he was in the starting lineup, they tanked their whole team, the midfielders. Now, that's no way you treat the best player in your country's history. That's just you don't do that, you know. But it is what it is because you got these these players, you know, a lot of these players, outside of PSG, they didn't show up. When we talk about system players, right? Great individual talents versus system players. Dembele, system player, right? Vitinha, Joao Neves, who else? It was a lot of these PSG players. They in this World Cup, they fell very short. They were sniffing themselves. They thought they was hot shit because they won 2 Champions Leagues in a row. That's no, that's a hard feat. It's a hard feat, but that's mostly Jose Enrique's uh success. That's more of the manager's success more than the players, in my opinion. But they were sniffing themselves. A lot of those PSG players in this World Cup, they were sniffing themselves, and a lot of them got exposed. Now, Dembele still played relatively well, but he was a bit inconsistent in the knockout stages. He did score a hat trick in I think the last group stage game or the second to last group stage game, but that's because the team. So I think it was versus Iraq or Iran. The team sold out. They were just like anybody else but Mbappe, and they just kept leaving Dembele 1v1 with his defender, and not that's not gonna work, right? But you know, those midfielders, yeah, yeah. Shout out to Quaresma, man. It's sad. That's sad how they you know they turn on Ronaldo like that. That's wild work. But anyways, Henoch says the Argentinians disappointed me with their gameplay and behavior after their miserable loss. Same here. He says, nah, this World Cup finale, he did majority of the work to keep the team tied as a draw. Wait, you mean you're talking about Messi, right? To keep the team tied. Oh, you're talking about Emi Martinez in terms of the saves. Okay, I see what you mean. But Spain, they like when you look at Spain in this World Cup, they weren't crazy in the attack. Like they weren't lethal. They weren't like creative or anything. Two of their knockout goals came from a sub in the knockout stages. So um they weren't they just were solid in the midfield and defensively. So and I'm not taking anything away from Emi Martinez, but Spain weren't particularly they weren't like creative in the final third or like they weren't like crazy. They weren't crazy good in the final third. They would just sneak. They would just sneak. They would sneak their opponents. They would take advantage. Like remember when they faced Portugal in the knockout rounds, right? Bernardo Silva was distracted. He was arguing with the ref over nothing. They took advantage. Marino sneaks him. I think Marino I think scored that goal. So it's that's how they were scoring a lot of their goals. You know, he said still he performed better than that dumb tard Messi. I'll say that is true. Emmy did perform overall better than Messi. Yeah, but I just think I don't think he was the best goalkeeper in this tournament. That's just me. But I could be wrong about that. That's not I'm not gonna die on the goalkeeper hill when it came to this World Cup. But Vozinha, I think, and rightfully so, and it's a great story. I'll give it is what it is. It's a great story, but I really think his focus, his confidence, he showed up big for his country, and I got massive respect for the Cape Verde goalkeeper. But anywho, Oh man. But anyways, back to the Tate brothers. Let's see. He said the new charges were designed to counter a defamation action filed by the brothers in the U.S. Blah blah blah. He says we are confident that once a competent judge sees the facts and once the Department of Justice confronts the egregious abuse of its own authority, Andrew and Tristan Tate will walk free. America does not do Britain's political dirty work. He continued. Yeah. Let's see. Let me see what they have to say about this in this clip. They authorized. Now, let me see. Let me before I even get into my opinion, let me just finish the article. Okay, here we go. This is in 2024. Bedfordshire police secured European arrest warrants for the pair to have them returned from Romania, where they are based and are under criminal investigation. In June, the brothers lost a legal bid to be told the names of their UK accusers. This is very interesting because I remember the Tates were very, they were saying, can you give us the names of the so-called accusers? And they refused to give them the names because of um especially I think a couple of the broads came forward and said that what they were doing was consensual and blah blah blah. So that's why the Tates were like, we need to see the names so we can see, like, so we can see, is are these charges, or what are these charges? Are they fraudulent? Are they real? What's going on? And the fact that they've been withholding the names show you these are manufactured charges, right? But that's life. That's life right there. Says lawyer Matt Jury, who represents several alleged British victims of Andrew Tate, welcomed the charges and said Andrew and Tristan Tate are accused of some of the most serious offenses, including multiple counts of grape and human trafficking. It is time they face justice. Now, let me address. Let's see. Can I open the image in new tab? Let me address, obviously, the people that are celebrating, you know, the arrests of the Tates, particularly the liberals, not necessarily the people of the manosphere or whatever, but the British liberals and all these people. Okay, you got what you wanted. Now I want to see who else you're gonna blame. Who else you're gonna blame after you publicly lynch the Tates? Now let me also address now. Well, that's the Tate haters I just addressed. Now let me address the Tate supporters. The Tate supporters, particularly the male Tate supporters, these got to be the dumbest group, probably the dumbest group of males I've seen. Got to be the dumbest group outside of the Christ pill bros, the Christ is king ass niggas, and the Muslims. I don't know what life or what world they've been living in, but I don't understand their shock. Like, I don't even understand their mindset of, oh my gosh, they're being done dirty. They're manufacturing charges. This is, nigga, do you know what world we've been living in for the past, since, post Me Too, post all of this nonsense? Well, you thought your boy was exempt from that? The fuck you been? Come on. What are we doing? You had I was watching the CGA stream yesterday, and they were talking and he was just talking about just objectively the charges that they were facing, and you know what happens to people like the Tate brothers, right? These dudes, they think this shit is a movie. This is why, guys like us, we were talking about, look, I don't think it's a good idea for you to kind of go to do business the way that the Tate brothers were doing business. Like you're putting yourself on the map for the wrong reasons. You're bragging about getting away with crime, bragging about we are staying in Romania because we can do what the fuck we want over here and blah blah blah. Like they were just putting a massive spotlight on themselves, right? So the self, yeah, exactly, the self snitching. So I don't know why they're shocked, and I'm pretty sure the Tate brothers, they should. I'm pretty sure they knew that they were going to get arrested eventually on U.S. soil. I'm if they had any semblance of a brain, I'm pretty sure they saw the arrest coming. But the Tate fanboys, I've had a real problem with these people and their naivety and in their strategy and what they think is going to happen. They really thought that Tate was there to like save them from like feminism and all this stuff. I think that's kind of like how they look at life. Like even the Kevin Samuel fanboys, they think that Kevin Samuels was there to save them and to save them from the Matrix and oh sorry, that's more at the Tates, but they think Kevin Samuels is gonna finally get black women to act right and then and I'm like, what are y'all, these people are paying attention. I don't know what they're paying attention to, but with the Tate brothers, it's very simple. The Tate brothers implemented a pay to play system, or what a pay for play system, where they manufactured their way into becoming the most Googled. Specifically, Andrew Tate, he manufactured his way into becoming the most Googled person overnight, and he ran a system where he has his people put clips about him, run clips about him. So even when he gets banned off of YouTube, you still have people running clips of him. They get a little bit of payola for running his clips. So it can keep his name relevant in the algorithm. And over a very short period of time, he became very influential, specifically over, young men, um, young boys, etc. So much so that you have Britain and USA trying to run programs where they're they're trying to basically ban young boys from watching the Tates, right? Now, when you have influence like that, that's usually not good, whether it's good videos you're putting out there or bad videos. You can't have somebody of that kind of influence, especially if they're talking against the government, which the Tates went out of their way of doing. You're going to get targeted by the powers that may be. So I don't know why the Tate fans are shocked. This is the world that we live in. This is the world that really a lot of guys have ushered in unknowingly. So that's just what it is. Kevin Samuels with his situation, he got murdered. It's pretty clear he got murdered, but it shouldn't be a shock. There's certain agendas that need to be run. There's certain things that are kind of, they already have a plan. They can't have little anomalies like Tate's and the other people come in and kind of fuck up how they had things going on. So this is that's just how it works. But a lot of these fanboys, I don't know, they be killing me. They be killing me. especially like their reasoning. They'll just be like, well, like you'll have they'll be crying. These allegations are fake. I remember in how about this? I remember in 2022. This is how this is how naive I'll say the average. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. The average like regular citizen, like any you know how like you'll have regular men that are fans of the Tate brothers. I had people saying, "Oh, but don't you understand? The girls that are coming out against him, they were paid. They were paid. They were given money to say lies about Tate." And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, yeah. What do you think has been happening to all these other black athletes and all these other dudes? You really think that all these other hoes they was telling the truth? All these other hoes that had came forward in the past, like the same British fans, the same average British male fan of Andrew Tate, the same ones that are crying about Andrew Tate and what he's going through. There have been black male athletes, black male footballers that have gone through hell for literally just having money, literally for just having money, gone through hell. Raheem Sterling. I remember seeing an article of Raheem Sterling. He had a party at his mansion, and that was like they were saying he's a cancer to the because he had money and he had a party at his. It was ridiculous. Or you'll have certain celebrities, you'll have girls come forward. I'm like, you think all those people with Bill Cosby, all these hoes that came forward, you think they weren't getting paid? That's how it works. You have these hoes, they come forward, they get paid a little bit of money by an entity, a corporation, or whatever. They'll come forward and then they'll say a lie about you. That's how I'm like, what do you think has been happening for the past 10 to 20 years now? The Taint brothers. He not called them the Taint brothers. Zero G said it's the glaze over their face that finally dried off and they had to smack the crust away. That's why the fanboys look so shocked. Look, man. Like I remember I had to smack one dude out of, out of his thing. It was this one dude that I do music with, and he was trying to talk about, well, Andrew Tate said, I'm like, nigga, the fuck is he listening to Andrew Tate for? I said, nigga, just don't pay attention to that shit. Oh man. XVY Jay-Z says CGA has the best philosophy thus far. He teaches aftercare and upfront cost. That used to be the safest solution, but in this new world, even that solution might not be as foolproof. And we're seeing it already. I told you, post 2026 World Cup, you got a lot of Gen Z girls, they're turning 30. They're hitting that latter stage, 28, 29, 30, right? The older Gen Z, right? I'm 98, right? I'm 98 baby. I'm 28. I'm telling you, those girls around my age, they're starting to flip. They're starting to flip that switch, but it's going to be really bad because even back in the 2010s, they would still have a line of dudes that were willing to marry them, right? Back in the 2010s or early 2000s, right? Even after being on the cock carousel for a little bit, they would still have a guy. Guys don't want to play cleanup no more. So after that, once they can't reach for the Sims. Why aren't dudes approaching women anymore and blah, blah, blah. Oh, dudes is scared. Once that shit stops working, they're going to start looking through their sugar daddies and, their OnlyFans, their former OnlyFans managers / boyfriends, and they're going to start suing them. You're going to start seeing, like, you think the false allegations are bad this past decade? It's going to be nothing. It's going to be nothing compared to what's going to happen. They already passed a law in Arizona where if they catch you using, if you are a man and you leverage money for sex, they've already, it's illegal now. You can't leverage money for sex if you are a man in Arizona, basically. The way that they're setting this stuff up, they're really trying to make it where men have basically no solution. It's going to be a point where men, like I said, men, we're probably, if you are a man, you're probably going to have to leave the states. If you want some semblance of a life, especially if you want women in your life, you're going to have to leave the states. It's gonna be that bad. If you want a semblance of life, because even that strategy with the aftercare and the upfront costs, right? That's the reason why I kind of gravitated to CJ's message, because it's similar to, Corey Holcomb's, it's similar to what Corey Holcomb has been talking about over the years. That's why I gravitate to CJ's strategy. But even that's not going to be, with what's coming up in these next couple years. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. Right? He says the taints went max level on the FAF. Yeah, the fuck around and found out meter. I agree. Henoch says, don't forget the Middle East. Lord knows most of my friends fell for like, look, at worst, Andrew Tate is a con man. At his best, he is a con man. But this is what happens when you have a group of young men and they don't have really a masculine figure to look up to, so they're obviously going to gravitate towards a Tate, a Myron Gaines, a, who else am I missing? Whoever they put out there. Zero G says the fanboys represent the pedestrian part of the population that is looking for a savior to save him from the gynocratic world. I agree full-heartedly with that. Full-heartedly. That's basically it right there. Facts. Where's my Umar Johnson sound effect? Facts. Yep. Oh yeah, I know what you meant, save them, but that's what it is. That's why they gravitate towards a Tate. And then it is interesting when you'll ask the average broad, okay, so outside of Tate, who is a masculine figure that you think boys should look up to? They're gonna name they're gonna name gay dudes or borderline gay dudes. They won't even mention a dad. They won't even mention fathers. They won't even mention an uncle. Which should be the that should be the safe answer, the typical answer. But they won't even mention that. They're gonna say Obama. They're gonna say who else? They gonna mention Harry Styles, and they gonna, oh yeah, Galloway, whatever that boy's name, the bald dude. They gonna say Galloway. They gonna say who else am I missing? Yeah, they gonna say Destiny. They gonna name fags, bro. It's crazy work. But anyways, he says, did the cops ever question the women in the room with Kevin Samuels when he passed? Oh yeah, it's crazy because first of all, it was a Latina woman. They didn't bring her in for questioning. She was just able to just disappear. And then they said that she was a nurse too. So I'm like, so she didn't even check that if homie had a pulse. CJ was just talking about this yesterday. It's wild. It's wild. Yeah, Playboy Max. Give me some names in the chat. That's what they're gonna say. They're going to the names that they're gonna mention is gonna be borderline Fugazi boys, fluffy characters, funny style MFers. That's what they gonna mention. Yeah, they gonna say DDG. They gonna mention a stream. Yeah, they gonna mention a streamer. they yeah, King 68 the Great. You just need to be confident, like King 68. Oh man, I'm telling you, man, women are funny though. With this, with when especially when it comes to the Tates. Like, I saw something crazy during the World Cup. There was an article where it showed a picture of it was I think Mbappe. He was hugging Holland or something, or he was hugging Jude Bellingham. He was hugging somebody, and the title of the article, I shit you not, I shit you not, I saw on my life I saw this. The title of the article says this World Cup proves that the manosphere is blah blah blah. I'm like, what the fuck does the manosphere got to do with the World Cup? They show that positive masculinity lives on, and I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with it? I was like, this is a different type of rent free. I have never seen no rent free shit like that in my life. It was on Facebook. Let me see if I can actually, because I would have sworn I saved it. I would have sworn I saved it, but I could be wrong. But I swear I saw it. I was like, wait a minute, how? What does the manosphere have to do with the World Cup? Oh man, it was like on a really reputable online news article too. It was like I could not believe it. I could not believe it. Let me see if I saved it on Facebook, and then I'm gonna try to search. Let me see. Let me see if I can try. Yeah, let me see if I can search. I could not believe what I was seeing. I could not believe it. I saw this last World Cup proves that manosphere. Let me see if something pops up. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, the Independent. The Independent. Yeah, this is exactly, guys, look at this article. This is what I saw. I was laughing my ass off. Hold on, let me disable the ad blocker on this website. You guys are gonna laugh when you see this. You're gonna laugh. Uh-oh. Hold on for a second, guys. Let me make sure my system might start acting slow. Hold on for a second. I might have to exit out a couple of tabs because my system is going slow right now. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second, man. Because I got the article right here. I just got to exit out of some of these tabs. Gonna check my main YouTube page. Let me just make sure everything is running smoothly off of my YouTube. Gonna check my main YouTube page. Let me just make sure. Yeah, for right now, they don't want me to get to that tab right now. They don't want me to get to that tab. Yo, what's going on? Hold on. Yeah, some weird things is going on. They don't want me to get to that tab. Oh, I got an idea. I got an idea. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna cheat the system a little bit. Oh, never mind. I can't cheat the system. Yeah, they're trying to make it where I cannot get to. Let me see if I can exit out of this. Let me open this up. Let me share this tab just to show you I'm not making this up. Yeah, here we go. Let me get to the Independent. There we go. There we go. Look at this. Look at this. This is what I saw on Facebook from the Independent. He says this World Cup is proof that the manosphere is dying and its idea of masculinity is for losers. I was I remember seeing this on Facebook and I was like, how how yeah. Oh, so Pyro said that he saw it. Because I saw it and I almost fell out my chair laughing. I, I was like, what does the manosphere have to do with the World Cup? First of all, if I'm watching a World Cup, I'm not trying to think about these things. But yeah, the manosphere is living rent free in the average broad's head. They have, but this is why CGA talks about his pivot. The reason why he's pivoting is because he's seeing the writing on the wall. They're gonna basically make it where if you have anything that is male, if you're supporting males in any way, they're gonna make it where you're not gonna rise up in not only in the algorithm, they're going to basically criminalize your content. They're going to make it they're going to normalize doxing people of from of that ilk. This is the future. I was like, wow. Pyro said if a man died, no, he said if a man did something about feminists in the World Cup, they would think he's an incel loser who hates women. Exactly. Yeah, it was just like I saw this article via Facebook and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Shout out to Garrett Grant. He's in the chat. I'm sorry it's been a minute. I literally didn't do anything since the first week of the World Cup. But since the World Cup's over, I'm all back. I'm back. Right? He says this World Cup is proof that the manosphere is dying and its idea of masculinity is for losers. Superstars like Bellingham and Holland are showing young men that there's much more to masculinity than the toxicity being peddled by red pill influencers. Oh my god. I it's I couldn't believe this. I was like, did they really write this article? Yeah, that's who it was. It was Bellingham and Holland embracing or something like that. This was the photo via Facebook. It was Bellingham and Holland embracing. And yeah, this specific photo right here. And then they had the I was like, okay. I don't, you know, but anyways, yeah, independent with a red herring or a red herring article. I was laughing my ass off. You know what I mean? But the writing's on the wall. They're just trying to make it where they're going to blame everything that goes wrong. They're just going to blame it on the manosphere or on the red pill, right? And yeah, let me look at some of these comments. Somebody said this is hilarious even for the independent. Somebody said I'd be comfortable in my own skin if I was being paid 50,000 pounds a day. Look, like they're showing they're saying the manosphere is the problem. Here's the solution. You need to look up to rich footballers that their reality is so much different from the average man's reality. And they want to use them as positive examples of masculinity. These motherfuckers can do whatever they want. They making fit. You know, these guys are making like over 100,000 pounds a week. You know that, right? Like I'm talking about. There's average footballers making 100,000 pounds a week in Europe. Average, set like 70,000 pounds a week. How much? How much is Let me see. How much is Bellingham getting paid? Well, what are these people's salaries? Hold on for a second. Let's do this real quick. Since they want to, because they're bringing up specifically Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland wage at Real Madrid. So yeah, well, look at this. Look at this right here. Salary of 20 million a year, 400 about 345,000 pounds per week. So we don't even want to if you convert that shit to US dollars, it's going to be some crazy numbers. So we don't even want to get into that. But actually let's for the viewing public, cuz some people don't know. Some people might not know. Right? So 345 pounds, right? 345 euros. 345,000 euros to dollars, which roughly converts to almost 400,000 US dollars. So Bellingham is making roughly around 400,000 US dollars a week to kick a ball around. This World Cup is proof that the manosphere is dying. Look at the behaviors of Erling Haaland and Jude Bellingham. Mind you, Jude Bellingham is what, 6'2", 6'3", model on his off time. The ladies love him. Erling Haaland, 6'5", blonde. like, bruh, stop. Oh man, they're just so comfortable in their own skin. I'm like, I would hope so. Motherfuckers making almost 400,000 US dollars a week. Oh man, this is ridiculous. Well, yeah, it looks like all the people in the comment section, they're not buying it though. So shout out to these guys. They're not buying it. It looks like. Somebody said those two lads probably like themselves. Funny how you are expecting men not to like themselves. They not, first of all, those footballers, they think that Andrew Tate is a misogynist. These footballers, they probably they but the problem is with women like that, they think Chads and Tyrones can do no wrong. So in their minds, Bellingham and Haaland, there's no way that they can be misogynists. Even though there's videos of Haaland not necessarily cold approaching, looking up chicks up and down, him Bellingham having all types of hoes. I mean, isn't this the same stuff that you are mad at Tate and HS Tiki Taki and Myron Gaines? Aren't you? They possess the same characteristics, if not worse, than these people. What the fuck are you talking about? They're just so comfortable in their own skin and they have confidence. No, they got money. They got fame. So in your and they're Chads. They're both of these guys are over 6'2", 6'3" tall. So in your mind, they can do no wrong. Right? You see, it almost like, you know how like in a dark skin, actually let me not say that. You know how like with black dudes, a light skinned chick with a fat ass can't do no wrong. It's same thing. Same thing. Zero G says, even if you take the money away, for every Hakimi, there's a Zion Williamson. Exactly. Yeah, XBYJZ says, be like Bellingham in Holland. It's easy. Just be the top 5 footballer in the world. Be the one of the best players on Real Madrid, the best player in England, or sorry, the best player in the best club in England, Manchester City. That's all you guys need to do. Just be the best striker in the world. That's all you need to do. Just be the best attacking midfielder in the world. That's all you guys have to be, and be over 6'2". That's all you guys have to do, right? It's pretty easy, right? Oh my god. This bro, this I hope they were trolling. I hope this was just rage bait. I hope this was just they were doing this for clicks. Then I could sleep better. But there's no. But since it's Britain, since it's England, you know what I mean. Since it's a British, a public article, I think they were dead serious. Oh man. He says, in both sportsmen still on principle suck compared to our side of the fence. XYJZ says, I think when women know you are red pill with a certain demeanor and ability to peep women's BS versus a Chad who presents like he doesn't know women's dark nature, even if he does. Like these people, like I said, they think we're misogynists. First of all, I don't. Maybe because I've heard how athletes will talk, particularly the athletes with the most women, even the most blue pill dudes. They take the hoes. They basically take the hoes for granted because there's so many of them in their world. There's just so many of them. There's no need to really take one seriously. Should I even? I don't know. Should I read the article? I gotta read. I'm sorry. I gotta read this article. This is hilarious. Let me see, because I'm already done talking about the Tate brothers. I think this is funny to me. This is hilarious. Just be like Holland. Just be the best player in the world. And what are they doing? Okay. Oh my God. He says England may have knocked Norway out of the World Cup, but it will take far more than that to knock the bromance between Jude Bellingham and Holland off kilter in the run-up for Saturday night's match. Social media was awash with the excavated video clips and montages celebrating the long-standing bond between the two star players who first met when they were youngsters at Borussia Dortmund. And before they took to the pitch, the duo shared a jockey greeting, with Bellingham planting a playful kick on Holland's back as the two teams filed out from the tunnel, worlds away from the frowny machismo that often tends to come out in the moments before. What the fuck are they talking about? All teams be doing that. There's no more rivalries in this is not the 2000s where you got Roy Keane yelling at Patrick Vieira in the tunnel. These dudes be in the tunnels. They be basically having a makeout fest before the games. They don't. These players don't hate each other anymore. Athletes don't even. They don't hate each other no more. Those guys are gone. So that okay. Let me see how they connect this to the manosphere. Worlds away from the frowny machismo that often tends to come out in the moments before a match. They say all this footage of the two men at the top of their game hugging it out and celebrating each other's wins is not only a reminder that good sportsmanship can manifest itself in different ways, but also a reminder that beyond the doom and gloom prognostication, there is a generation of men actively rejecting toxic masculinity. This has got to be the worst article. Yo, and then people get mad when I say, or you'll have people like me, and I'm like, we got these female journalists out here. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. So they took from this photo, right, that these guys are actively rejecting toxic masculinity because they hugged it out. Their first, if this is normal. First in soccer, this is normal. This is normal. You'll have former teammates, they'll talk to each other, they'll laugh it out on the pitch. This is normal. I don't know if she thinks that men are these monsters that are like I don't. Let me keep reading. All this footage of the two men, blah, 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 yeah, actively reject toxic masculinity. He said, indeed, compared to the cliche status signifiers adopted by the likes of Andrew Tate, H.S. Tiki Taki, the British streamer who took a bleak starring role in, oh, wow, I don't know, in the starring role of Louis Theroux's Inside the Manosphere documentary, think glaring displays of wealth and the big cars and boasting about promiscuity, as well as the inevitable derogatory attitudes towards women. Holland Bellingham and many high profile young men are offering a version of masculinity that feels far more positive and well modern. I don't know how they were able to take that moment between Holland and Bellingham and connected to Inside the Manosphere. This is hold on, watch this. Think glaring displays of wealth, the big cars, and the boasting about promiscuity. So what they think that Holland and Bellingham, they don't have big cars, they don't have a mansion, they don't think they don't got hoes. What like everything that they just described. They said glaring displays of wealth, the big cars, and the boasting about promiscuity. No, those guys are conmen. Holland and Bellingham, they are actually living that lifestyle. They don't have to brag about it, but I guess because since HS Tiki Taki talks about it out loud, that makes it toxic. Every man that's got money and fame, it's basically a free for all for them. Especially when you're talking about in Europe, depending on what country you're in. Okay, so okay, she said they are wealthy and charismatic, yes, but their overwhelming vibe is well adjusted, emotionally literate, respectful, and down to earth. They don't hate women, they love them, whether it's their moms, wives, partners, or best friends. This I don't know who the female that wrote this article, but this got to be the most retarded female journalist of all time. Easily. Easily the most retarded female journalist of all time. They're both living the same lifestyle. Oh my goodness. So they said they don't hate women, they love them, whether it's their moms, wives, partners, or best friends. It doesn't just strike a contrast to the depressing worldview peddled by the Manosphere gang, but also to many of the footballers who came before them with their drunken, off pitch antics and aggy attitudes to their competitors. Indeed, it's England's cricketers who now seem to be getting a reputation for the former. What the fuck are they? What the fuck is she talking about? This is yeah. This is not good, man. This has to be rage bait. I'm speed reading through this as we speak. This has to be rage bait. This has to be rage bait. Okay, so now they're mentioning the quote that Jude Bellingham when he was praising his mom. I thought you hated mama's boys. What the fuck? What are we talking? I thought they hated mama's boys. So this is what so then okay. Now I'm gonna have to turn into B Watkins here, where we're where basically Chad can do no wrong. Chad can do no wrong. What you hate the other most men for, you hate mama's boys. Now you're praising Jude Bellingham for doing the same thing. What? So they're highlighting this quote here where he's praising his mom. He says, I can say without a doubt that my mother has been more important in my career than any coach I've had. So they only bring up that one quote about his mom. And then now that is I guess, proof that he's not misogynistic. Okay, man. Yep, chat. Like I said, I've said this from the beginning. Chad can do no wrong. Chad can do no wrong. This article is hilarious. I can't even read. Like I'm as I'm reading this, I'm not gonna be able to get through this. I'm not gonna be able to get through this. This is bad. Like I'm talking about the names that they're mentioning as an example of positive masculinity. It's this got to be the funniest thing. Like this is so who wrote this article? Katie Rosinski. I hope I'm saying her name right. Katie Rosinski. Katie Rosinski is senior culture and lifestyle writer at The Independent, focusing on features. She has freelanced for publications, including The Stylist, Radio Times, and The Guardian, and has also worked for The Evening Standard, Grazia, and Time Out. She is based in Liverpool, and she's a Scouser. Oh, God. Oh, my God. I know this got to be the worst woman to date. First of all, if you're dating any woman that's from Britain, you losing. And then on top of that, she's a Scouser. Man, please. I'm from Liverpool. Man, I'd be dead if I ever heard that ish from my girl. Oh my God, that's just bad. Give me a hood chick over a Scouser from England. I'm dead serious. Give me a hood chick. Oh man, give me hood chick over a Scouser, a feminist British writer that is a Scouser. Oh, oh no, that ain't it, man. Let's move on. Let's move on. This is bad. This is bad, man. This is so bad. Oh my God, this is bad. Let me look on Instagram to see the reaction. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this on Instagram. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at this. The biggest threat to the manosphere Might be Jude Bellingham. What? there's no hope for them, man. There's no hope. There's no hope for them. There's no hope for them. There's no hope. Oh, so this article, oh Lord, here we go. We have this page is called Beyond the Manosphere. Oh Lord. Wait a minute. So they're saying, okay, boys are now choosing Holland and Bellingham. What, first of all, what England boy is gonna choose the Tate brothers or HS Tiki Taki or any of these streamers over their footballing idol? What in England, that's all they pay attention to. All of their idols are footballers. So because as long as it's not Andrew Tate, as long as it's not HS Tiki Taki, it's positive. It's positive masculinity. As long as it's not those specific guys. Is that the logic that they're using? Oh Lord. But anyways, let's move on. I'm looking at these comments. This is just sad. Let's move on. Let's move on. XVY Jay-Z said it's like Abba. He presents like a blue pill dude, so women and other blue pillars praise him, not realizing he moves like a pookie hoodlum. Exactly. That's the perfect analogy right there. It's a perfect analogy. Perfect. Zero G Tactics says they don't take their standards seriously, so why should a man take them? Their standards seriously. Exactly. Garrett Grant says this sounds like the start of a gay book talk romance novel, like that hockey book. I don't know what hockey book that you're talking about, but I'm gonna take your word for it. Because they be having some crazy topics with these book talk romance novels. The book pornography that women be reading in public. I've seen like women in gyms. They'll be reading these things like in public, in airports, in gyms, in libraries. Crazy. In cafes. I was just in I'm not gonna say the espresso place, but I was editing some stems before a show in New York, and with somebody else, and there was a woman, a young woman. Well, she's not a young. She looked like she was in her early 30s. She was reading one of them books. I was the only one that peeped. Chad, yeah, XYJZ says, what I've noticed is women don't like when you know you are the man and say it because they are jealous and insecure. Chad can do no wrong. I've witnessed this with my sister who looked down on me for living at my parents' house so I can save for a house after college. Now she's married and pregnant with a Chad's baby. And by the way, the Chads that they'll be sleeping with, they will be living with a woman, meaning that's not their house. They'll be living off of a woman themselves, or they'll be homeless, or they'll be living with their parents themselves. But because it's Chad, it's okay. I've literally I'm a witness. I bear witness to this. Like, it's two dudes I know specifically that I know very well, basically homeless, living off their broad. One of them is living off of his woman, but he still has a whole bunch of hoes, and she even accepts that. And then there's another guy who's a Tyrone. So I said one Chad, So the Chad that I'm talking about, he's 6'7". Now he's not in shape, but women like his face. So, and even though he's bald, but he is a Chad. He's a Chad. He's like, he's 6'7". And then there's another dude I know, he's a Tyrone, basically. 6'4", 6'5". He has about I think he has 3 kids. Yeah, he has 3 kids with two different women, if I'm not mistaken. It's either, yeah, I think he has 3 kids with 2 different women, or 3 kids with 3 different women. And he has hoes. But he's at the moment, he's still living off of his dad. Like he gets, well, he's not living off of his dad, but he gets assistance from his dad, and people know it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He gets plenty of hoes. Gets plenty of hoes. Right? Pyro says you sound like AJ when you're annoyed. Facts. Facts. Like, because I'm reading the article, I'm just like, there's no way. I don't even understand how you can connect that to the manosphere, but XVY Jay-Z says, and apparently they are moving back in with his parents. Yeah, this is common, bro. This is common. Because it's not a whole bunch of dudes out here that have their own place, or even their own apartment, especially with the way the economy is. There's dudes that are making great money and they're still living with their parents. You know what I mean? So like, this is like, the economy is where it's at. It's where it's at. Like, it is what it is. XVY Jay-Z says, but gave me ish for doing it, and I'm single with no children. Telling you. The standards change depending on who you are, right? It is what it is. Let me also show you one thing before I show you the Barry Bonds documentary, because I thought that article was just that was crazy. Let me get this thing. Let me show you something real quick. Let me show you actually two things here. Cause something went viral. I should have didn't I save it? Did I not save it? Oh, it's on Instagram. My bad. It's on Instagram. It's on Instagram. Right? My bad, y'all. It's on Instagram. It's on Instagram. Or not. Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. So did you see this video that went viral where it was a man? He was waiting in line with a whole bunch of women for like a product or something. The woman purposely bumps into him. The woman like purposely bumps into him and then claims that he assaulted him. So you had the chubby Indian looking chick purposely bumps into the white dude, cuts the guy in line, and purposely bumps into him, and then tries, as the guy raises his hands, is like, yo, what the F are you doing? You cut. She motions over to security, and she goes, "Hey, security, this guy just assaulted me." Even in front of all those cameras. And shout out to the girls that called her out on the spot. But let's keep it a buck. We have a real problem in America where you have if an Indian girl like this, fat Indian chick, has the balls to cut to accuse somebody of assault, a white man of assault in front of all these white girls, in front of all these cameras, and she still, and just so she can get ahead of the line, and she still feels that she could just willy nilly accuse a man of assault like it's nothing. This is how you know you we don't live in an assault culture. We don't live in a was it a grape culture or a groping we don't live in that kind of culture. If you can just willy nilly just do that, just willy nilly, we don't live in that kind of culture, right? And especially knowing that she actually does not have the advantage here and she still played that card. That's scary. Now imagine if there was no video. Imagine if there was no video. Imagine if there was no video. He'd be beat. He'd be beat. But this is the thing. So now before I did say I was going to show you two videos. So let me also show you this video right here cuz I want to be quick with these videos. So here we have it looks like Rodeo Drive, or was it sorry, not Rodeo, Figueroa, right? In LA, or one of these streets where you have the prostitutes, walking up and down the streets. So this is a very interesting situation caught on camera. This is very funny right here. So this is crazy work right here. So he approaches this girl. He's about to give her some money, he's like, this is the ultimate. When you talk about ultimate dark side, this is the ultimate dark side right here. We talk about, Figueroa and these streets with the hookers, with the street hookers. That's like ultimate dark side. Um, me personally, I tell dudes do not do this, only because in the United States it's mostly illegal, and you have police officers running stings and all these things, and like that's one of my biggest nightmares, to get caught up in one of these things. That's why I recommend people to not do it, just because I just know it's illegal here, and then they're going to use it to make you look like some kind of predator. So that's why I tell dudes not to do it, because if it was legal, I'll be like, oh, this okay, it is what it is. Here in this situation, he approaches a hooker. He's about to, negotiate rates with her. And here we have a police officer pulls up on her, on both the guy and her, and he tries to save him. He's like, "Yo, that girl's 16. You know that, right?" Oh man, by the way, it's not only just a guy in the cop car. It's that he has a female cop right next to him. It's a female cop, an older female cop right next to him, right? That's his partner. He has a female cop partner right next to him, and she's sitting there smiling in this scene while he's trying to put him up on game. Like, yo, this bitch that you about to pay money to, she's 16 years old. And what people don't understand when you're talking about hookers and these streetwalkers, a lot of them, I'm not going to say most, but a lot of them are underage, and I will say most hookers started when they were underage. All right. And we're not talking about they started at 16. I mean, they started at 14, 13 years old, unfortunately. So most hookers started young. Pimps tend to target underage women when it comes to, you know, um, building their stable. Okay, that's what they do. Right now, I'll say this: I can already tell she is underage. I can already see that. But it's a lot of people they can't tell, you know. And shout out to this police officer for showing up to man's rescue, right? Shout out to this guy for showing up to man's rescue, and shout out to the female cop right next to him. But this is normal. This is a normal occurrence. Now, here's what people got me upset about. This is what really upset me about this video. This is what really upset me. People were on here saying, "Oh, the cop said that because he already was messing with her." And I was like, "You guys got to be the dumbest." Like I said, a lot of these dudes out here, they're living in cuckoo land. They're living in la la land. They don't understand how the world works. The cop knows her age. Is the reason why he knows her age is because he probably booked her before. Because like they'll like arrest these people for loitering and prostitution and all these things, and soliciting they'll get a soliciting charge, and then they will book these prostitutes, and then they'll find out their real age. And since nobody wants to claim them, or no since nobody wants to come forward and you know and put real charges on them and blah blah blah, they literally get released the next day. Once they get one of these prostitutes in one of these holding cells, they literally get released the next day. And then they go directly back to what they were doing. And he probably didn't even rein her in. His female cop partner probably reined him in. She probably put the male cop on game and said, "Yo, that prostitute that's going up to that car right now, she's 16 years old." The female cop in the car probably put the dude on game, but everybody was like, nah, he said that because he had her first. I'm like, y'all stupid, bro. Y'all are retards. Exactly. So shout out to Garrett. He says, for once, the police officer was a true homie. These are one of the rare times where I'm saluting a cop, and you got everybody ripping the cop in the comment section, saying that he's a predator or he's cock block. You just like these are the same people that are fans of Tate, mind you. These are the same people that are fans of Tate. Same people. Exactly. So shout out to Marco Watts. He says blaming the cop is crazy. Clearly he's dealt with her before and can't arrest her for a reason. Exactly. He says cops knows that she's 16 and still let her walk the street. Who's worse, the cops or the guys trying to pick her up? Guys, there's no laws. When you arrest the prostitutes, they can't hold them. They can't hold. They're literally in the holding cell for one day, and then they leave the next. They can never put a charge on them. And so now people are like, oh, man, why are the cops letting these hoes roam the street? They can't put no charge on them. So you have most of the people in the comment section like, oh man, how does the cop know? And how, oh man, I'm like I said, there's no hope for a lot of these people out here. There's no hope for a lot of these people. By the way, you'll have certain cops. I don't think people understand. There's certain cops. Sorry, most cops will have run-ins with certain people where they've been having run-ins with the law since they were 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. male and female, rap sheet a mile long, but the charges don't really stick on him. Cops know plenty of people like that. They like they'll know these people by name because they're always getting caught up. She probably he probably knows her from, like, she probably got abused or she was in foster home after foster home when she was younger. He already knows that she be stealing. There's people like cops have the beat on a lot of these people. They just don't really have anything that they can stick on him. You see how, like, you'll have a lot of these cops, they'll know the gangbangers, they'll know who's the leader of this, but they don't have anything that can stick on him. So it's the same thing when it comes to this young girl right here. They done probably arrested her plenty of times for solicitation, but they can't hold her. She either gets bailed out by her pimp. She gets bailed out by her pimp, or she gives up a name and then she leaves the next day. Clearly, those two cops, because and this is also another thing. What I noticed, a lot of people didn't notice that that right next to him is a female cop partner. Most people they didn't see that this is a female cop partner next to him. So they both know the chick. But a lot of people, they were just, they're very quick to jump to conclusions. But you can tell the people, like, in life, they don't have real experience. They don't have no type of real life experience. They don't even realize, like, there's a lot of people out here, they don't even realize some of the workers that they've worked with, some of the female workers that they work with, they sold themselves on the streets at one point in their life. And it's gonna be somebody you never thought. Remember, like, remember Ainsley when I showed him one of the broads, when I swore on my life, I was like, that blah blah blah, this specific girl, she's an escort. And he was like, there's no way. Because she was so sweet. She was very pretty, light-skinned chick, very pretty. She her lesbian partner was working the same job with her. You would have never thought. But I knew the inside scoop on her. First of all, she's very poor, but she just doesn't show it, because there's a lot of women like that, young women, like they're so poor, like they're begging strangers for diaper money and shit like that. Like, they very poor. And then on top of that, oh yeah, and then on top of that, I saw her on a site. I saw her on the site, and then I went down the rabbit hole, and she's like, "You can find me here." I look up another site. She's on this site. I'm like, "Uh-oh." I was like, "Uh-oh." I know what that means. I know exactly what that means, right? Exactly. Garrett Grant says, even if he could arrest her, it's California. In California, they basically have laws protecting prostitutes like this. The only people that can get in trouble are the pimps and the Johns. Now, the actual sellers of the sex, which are the women, they basically have it where they don't get arrested. The Johns get arrested and the pimps. That's just how it works in America. In New York, same thing. New York, same exact thing. But when you start talking about these things, they just oh, but she's 16. She's guys, this is the world that we live in. Okay, it's just the world that we live in. Oh, you know what's even funnier? What's even funnier is, like, you'll have before we get into the Barry Bonds, I want to make this last point. You'll have these people where you'll talk about like the what was it, yeah, the age of consent, right? You'll talk about the age of consent in certain states, and how certain states has different laws, or certain countries, and they people will call you as a man a creep for knowing the age of consent, or knowing the laws about the age of consent in certain countries. And I'm like, how does that make me a creep for knowing the law? And I'm like, you better know what the law is when it comes to the age of consent. How many stories? Because people just think it's just about, oh, look, but you just trying to look for young girls. No, because when you have a kid, if your kid runs away, and if he's of a certain age, if you say, oh, my girl, something happened to my daughter, she was here one day and we can't find her, and she ran away with this 23, 25-year old dude, and you know what the cop is going to say? They're going to be like, how old is she? You're going to be like, well, she's 16. They're going to be like, well, there's nothing we can do about that. But she was trafficked. No, she's 16 years old. That's what's going to happen to you. That's what's going to happen to you. You're going to be like, why can't the cops do anything about my 16-year-old daughter? By the way, that 16-year-old that you saw in there, that's somebody's daughter. She's somebody's daughter. But she's 16. She's 16. Even though in the state of Cali, it's the age of consent is 18, but if you're a prostitute, you have rights in California. If you're a streetwalker, you got rights. And then at the end of the day, she can always say, oh, I'm not selling pussy. I'm just out here walking. So this is what it is. I remember one of the funniest stories I ever heard in my life. One of the funniest stories, particularly when it comes to this age of consent thing. This is one of the funniest stories I've ever heard. It was a father. He was so shocked. Because he didn't know that his son was gay, right? So one day his son went missing, and he found out that his son ran away with like a significantly older dude, like a dude in his 30s. But the son was 16 at the time. And the dad made like a whole fuss. He's like, what's happening? And blah, blah, blah. And he was basically complaining that the authorities can't do anything about it because the age of consent is 16. And in the state that he's in, there's no real age limit into where if you are 16 and you go with a older person, there's no laws against that. So he's just like, I don't understand why nobody can do anything. I'm like, well, maybe if you knew what the age of consent was, and instead of just going with what the mammies and what the main going off of what Hollywood is telling you what life should be, if you understood the age of consent, the age that the age of when of what girls and LGBT boys and girls, what age they get started, maybe you would have been more strict on your kids and not allow them to have access to certain apps and certain phones and in certain websites. You'd be keeping a better eye on your kid, and you would have been able to pick up on, look, there's a stranger texting my kid. You'd be able to pick up on that. But this is what I think of. And this is, people are not really strategic like that. But when you bring these things up, you're actually trying to inform them with the knowledge that, like, look, you need to protect your kid around that age. But when you bring it up, they think that you're the one trying to scheme on the kids that age. I'm like, no, I'm trying to protect you so you don't get shocked. So you don't end up making no Facebook posts talking about my 15-year-old daughter, my 14-year-old daughter ran away with 60-year-old daughter. You got, runaways have rights in America, right? So these are the things that they don't get. They just don't get it. And then they get shocked when their daughter gets caught up in the nonsense. It's very funny. Normieville can be very funny. Normie is very funny about this stuff. Um, but anyways, XVYJC says, like, bro, she's 16, lock her up. What the hell? They don't want men to have sexual freedoms. No, look, she at the end of the day, all she can say is she could literally be like, I'm just out here. I'm just out here. There's no proof. And at the end of the day, they're just gonna arrest the John and the pimp. The prostitutes have way more rights. The streetwalkers, they've even passed laws to protect these streetwalkers. You know, but that's the life that we live. But anyways, I digress. Let's go to this Barry Bonds video, which is the main topic of the show. Why everybody hated Barry Bonds. Now everybody's going to talk about with Barry Bonds. He's more famous, obviously, for being probably the best baseball player of all time. In my opinion, he is the best baseball player of all time. But obviously, his career was stained due to his ties to steroid usage, which is all allegations at the end of the day. But his career got tainted so bad, he became the poster boy for steroids. But as I go through this documentary, I want you to pay attention to the language that is being used. I want you to pay attention to how hostile his relationship with the media was and how these interactions could affect your legacy. And you could have done nothing wrong, but because of your lack of PR knowledge, your lack, or not necessarily lack of PR, but your lack of having a relationship with the media, your lack with having a relationship with reporters, your lack of not being able to politic, this can end up affecting your career. And I hope people can make the parallels, the proper comparisons, and why I stick up for certain people the way that I stick up for certain people. But anyways, let's get into why everybody hated Barry Bonds. This is true, by the way. This is true. He's the only person that the FBI was like, had literally went out of their way to try to see if there was some connection there between Barry Bonds and steroids. So it's very interesting. Now this is confirmed. I don't know about the steroids. I just know that he never tested positive for steroids. That's what I. This. These are facts. He never tested positive for steroids. Now, what I know about Barry Bonds is that he had the worst media to player personnel relationship. I'm talking about in athletes' history. I'm talking about in athletes' history. He probably had the worst media relations with every. I'm talking about. It's not even close. It's not even close. According to a reporter, right? He's an evil, very evil man. Sound familiar? The Tates, very evil. whenever a media member is trying to tell you about somebody, you have to question why. You have to question why. These are very important names. Let me rewind that for you real quick. Let me rewind that for you real quick. Father, Barry Bonds. Willie Mays, his godfather, right? Reggie Jackson, his cousin. These three brothers that I just named, Barry Bonds grew up seeing the media treat his father like shit. Anybody that's done their research about the Bonds family, what Barry Bonds Sr. Went through. Oh, sorry, Barry Bonds' father went through. It's well documented. Willie Mays, we don't even need to go there. Everybody already knows his history. Reggie Jackson, we already know his history with the media. With sure, forget just the media, just establishments, right? Particularly how Caucasian people treated those particular brothers was damn near criminal. Like not damn near criminal, was criminal. How those men were treated. So I don't hear any crimes. I don't hear any crimes yet. But anyways, oh, he said there's no audio from the video. Wait a minute. Hold on for a second. Thank you for telling me that. What the? How's there no audio on the video? Let me check something out real quick. Um, Let me open this in a new tab. Let me open this in a new tab. Let me look at the history. Why is there, maybe maybe it's because of copyright. Don't tell me it's because of copyright. Was it how about this? Was it playing in the beginning? In the beginning of the video, do you guys know if it was playing, was the audio playing in the beginning? If it never did, if there was no audio in the beginning, then maybe I gotta switch tabs. But let's try this again. Let me do a test real quick. That's weird. Now that has never happened where the audio is just like not playing from the video on. Let me try something. Oh, hmm. Now that's weird. That's weird. I don't know why the audio is not playing. Now that's weird. That's weird. I don't know why the audio is Let me try something else. Let me try a regular video. Maybe it's because there's MLB content in there. Yeah, the audio's still bugging out. The hell? All right. Time to put on my detective skills. Yeah, the audio's still bugging out. Okay. Let's try something else here. What the fuck? Let's do share. Let me see. Stop share screen. Share screen. Some screens. Look for the share audio checkbox on the next window. Share screen. What the fuck is going on? What in the F is going on, man? Share. Yeah, this is also share tab audio. Okay, share tab audio. Okay. Okay, in the did the Twitter videos work? That's what I'm wondering. So I hope the Twitter videos wasn't silent. Let me try something out. Let me try something out real quick.
Make $100 for easy. What? 16.
Oh shit!
Ain't no fucking way, nigga.
Okay, so Twitter works. Twitter works. I hope there hasn't been any sharing YouTube to StreamYard. Stop sharing. Share this tab instead. Sharing this tab instead. Oh shoot. Let me stop sharing. Stop sharing. Now it works. See, for Twitter it works. Let's try YouTube one more time. We're gonna try YouTube one more time. We're gonna try YouTube one more time. Okay, why everybody hates bonds. Let's start from here one more time. Share this tab instead. Let's try Streamer University.
The people that's at that Streamer University shit is because most of them don't give a fuck, and they would disrespect people that they wouldn't disrespect off camera. They would start shit that they wouldn't start off camera, and they would say shit that they wouldn't say off camera. Like just a whole bunch of shit that they would do going against. They would start shit that they wouldn't start off camera, and they would say shit that they wouldn't say off camera. Like just a whole bunch of shit that they would do going against.
In the late 1990s and early 2000s, hundreds of MLB players took steroids. Barry Bonds, however, is the only one to get sentenced to house arrest for lying about it. In 2007, he was an all-star who led the entire...
Here we go. We're good. We're good now. We're good. I don't know what the hell was happening with my tabs. But let's start this from the beginning without much interruptions.
In the late 1990s and early 2000s, hundreds of MLB players took steroids. Barry Bonds, however, is the only one to get sentenced to house arrest for lying about it. In 2007, he was an all-star who led the entire league in on-base percentage. The next year, despite being willing to play for the league minimum, not a single team offered him a contract. Barry Bonds was essentially excommunicated by MLB for a ton of reasons. One of these reasons was the media, who might have treated Barry Bonds worse than any other player in recent memory. And this contributed to Barry Bonds becoming one of the most hated players in MLB history.
Okay, let me pause that. Everybody, yeah, it looks like everything's good. Everything's back to normal. You see that you got the baseball. You see the fans. They say Ruth did it on hot dogs and beer. Actually, no, it's been confirmed. Ruth actually used like some kind of like animal it was like something worse than HGH. He was using some kind of crazy animal like testosterone type of experimental drug during his time. A lot of those people during that time, they were using some crazy stuff. But that's a whole nother story for another day. There's a lot of athletes, people try to be like, oh, this guy took steroids and this guy did this, and then I'll ask them, okay, so who do you like? And then they'll be like, I like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Or they'll be like, I like Rob Gronkowski. And I'm like, and you think they're clean? Okay. Anyways.
It started well before he ever took steroids. In college, his teammates voted for him to be kicked off the team, even though he was their best player. In Pittsburgh, he was blamed.
Hold on. Let's put the speed back up.
For costing the Pirates the World Series, even though he was their team's best player. He fought multiple teammates in the clubhouse and on the field. He threw a pizza in one of their faces, tried to fight his general manager, got into a verbal altercation with his real manager, got accused of domestic abuse, allegedly assaulted a journalist, and according to one writer who interviewed 500 of Bonds' acquaintances to write a book about him, Barry Bonds is a, quote, evil man. Barry Bonds went through controversy after controversy during his career, making him the perfect scapegoat. And this narrative began forming all the way back in high school, where several incidents made one talent evaluator describe his personality by simply calling him a, quote, asshole.
I've never changed.
Yeah. I can easily explain that off because that team picture told me everything I needed to know. But anyways.
Not one friend that you ever talked to that says Barry Bonds is any different from when he was in high school. Barry Bonds didn't give a shit then. Barry Bonds don't give a shit now.
Barry Bonds was the son of MLB All-Star Bobby Bonds. Barry Bonds' godfather was Hall of Famer Willie Mays. Barry Bonds' cousin was Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson. All three were known to be treated unfairly by the media during their careers. Barry Bonds witnessed this.
By the way, that's a massive understatement. Do the research on Barry Bonds' dad. Do the research on Reggie Jackson. Do the research on Willie Mays, specifically with Willie Mays. Outside of the laudits, the praise he gets now, but during that time when he was playing, even his post career, crazy work. Do the research on that.
As a kid, and many point to his family background as the origin to his distrust and confrontational attitude towards the media.
Yeah, I've interviewed Barry Bonds. You know what? He's a jerk. He's condescending. He intimidates the hell out of you.
Barry Bonds' family background also means he was basically born to be the greatest baseball player ever, and he truly might have been. In high school, he hit close to 500 over 4 years, got a scholarship to Arizona State, got drafted in the second round, but still somehow didn't make the Northern California High School All-Star game. This was because he fell asleep in the bullpen in the middle of the tryout.
So I don't even know why they even care about that. But like I said, like XVY Jay-Z just said. So XVY Jay-Z says, so the racist media hated his dad, so they continued to bury. Sounds familiar. Shador Sanders. Oh man, need I say more? And look what they brought up for what he did in high school. Look at this one more time.
To be the greatest baseball player ever, and he truly might have been. In high school, he hit close to 500 over 4 years, got a scholarship to Arizona State, got drafted in the second round, but still somehow didn't make the Northern California High School All-Star game. This was because he fell asleep in the bullpen in the middle of the tryout.
So because he fell asleep in the middle of the tryout, he didn't make the was it the Northern California High School All-Star team, even though he was basically the best baseball player in Cali. That's a personal issue. That's a personal issue. Because depending on who you ask, he's probably a legend in a lot of these other guys' eyes for doing that. And then depending on who you ask, he's the worst thing that ever happened for doing that. But anyways,
to Bonds having a less than stellar reputation, which followed him to Arizona State. His coach at ASU was a huge fan of Bonds, but admitted that he, quote, never saw any of his teammates care about him. Bonds was the best player on the team, and according to these stories, acted like it. While playing in center, he once ran off the field and paused the game for 10 minutes just so he could go to the bathroom. As a sophomore, he was caught being out past.
Yo, I did that. or similar. Dude, when I was playing soccer back in the days when I was in middle school, I used to be in a orchestra, and like I was like in a legit orchestra where we had like legit, not known like recitals, or like we had a performance where you're performing in front of professionals and stuff like that. So I there were two games specifically. The parents were mad at me because I left in the middle of the game to go do the orchestra, and I was the best player on the team. But also what made it worse is because I didn't really talk to anybody on the team. I didn't have any friends on the team. I didn't so two times I did that. One time the first time I did it, it was during a playoff game, and then I couldn't be um they tied that game because I no, I played in that game, and then the next day, yeah, so I won that game, and then the semifinals was the next day, and I couldn't be in the semifinals because my orchestra performance was that same day. So I couldn't make it to the semifinals of the fall, even though I literally carried the team to that specific thing. And apparently, according to my mom and my dad, apparently the parents were not happy about me doing that shit, like, at all. Right. So yeah, that so I remember in the spring when we did win the championship, I remember the game that I had to leave early. I made sure I gave my team a 5-0 lead before I left at halftime to go and perform in my spring recital. Right. This was I was in seventh. Yeah, I was in seventh grade at the time. But apparently at the time, I thought it was no big deal because we're all kids. We just like we all have stuff in our lives, right? But the parents were not. I'm talking about the parents were not happy, like, at all. But that's normal, especially if you're the only black player and it's all white players surrounded. They're not going to be happy. Mind you, the players that I was with, they didn't really care. They were cool with me in general, but I didn't talk to them. None of them were my friends or anything. Like, it's just I didn't have that kind of connection with them. It's just that's just how I am. So if you are a black dude like that, if you're not, shucking and jiving, and you're not making everybody feel comfortable, even if you're the best player on the team, they will dirty your name up. So this is dude, the refs liked me more than the parents. You know what I'm saying? So it was very interesting. They were mad because I was playing with two teams. They were not mad. They were not happy about that I was playing with two teams and all of that. Even like our parents were mad. I was on a premier team, and then they were mad that the coach paid for my uniform and all that stuff because I already paid for one set of uniform. The coach just wanted to help me. Man, they were not happy. But anyways, yeah, exactly. XVY Jay-Z says they hate black men who are talented and don't shuck and jive. Lamar gets hate too. It's not, it's like I said, it's not necessarily just the talent. It's just if you're not entertaining them, if you don't make them feel comfortable, they're gonna act like you're the devil. That's just it is what it is. I'm talking about you could have said nothing to him, which I did. I said nothing to him, and they were still finding a way to say something was wrong with me, and I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not paying for this, and you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the danger, unfortunately, when you are a black player on an all-white team and you're not giving them what they want in terms of socially. You're not giving them what they want socially. There was I remember the high school team I was on. Actually, let me not go into that because there's a lot of politics that go into that. But people had warned me in up front that the high school I went to, that they don't really treat black players well. And I should have listened. I should have not joined that team, but I paid the consequences for that. So this is actually very common. This is very common. So I'm talking about you could literally be a person that you just fell asleep, and then they're gonna call you the devil for that because you're not shucking and jiving it up with the white teammates, whatever. Even if you're just not a social person, they're gonna act like something's wrong with you. But anyways,
curfew. When his coach found out, he went to the team and asked them to vote on whether or not he should kick Barry off the team, expecting them all to vote no. Surprisingly, every single one of his teammates, except for 2, wanted him off the team. His manager was shocked and decided he couldn't kick Barry off because the vote wasn't unanimous, and lowered his punishment to a 10-mile run, which Barry never did. It was reported.
that's interesting. Isn't that interesting? Best player on his college team. He misses curfew one time. The manager puts a vote on whether to kick Barry off the team for missing curfew, and everybody said yes, even though he did nothing to him. That's called hate. That's called hate and jealousy, right? Very interesting stuff, man. Very interesting stuff. This is very interesting. Let me rewind it a little bit.
Punishment to a 10-mile run, which Barry never did. It was reported that this incident pissed off Barry's dad so much he drove his truck onto the field, parked it in front of the dugout, and confronted the manager in the middle of a closed practice. Bonds also went.
Now that's a legend. We don't know if that's true. We got to ask Barry Bonds if his dad did that. But if his dad did that, that is hilarious.
Through his first drug scandal at Arizona State after several players accused the team's coach and team psychiatrist of recommending and pressuring players to take antidepressants because they thought it would improve the players' on-field performance. This scandal seeming.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown. That is a great example. Jaylen Brown. Yeah, I'm surprised. No, no, SA case hasn't come out. Just just appeared out of nowhere with Jaylen Brown. I'm surprised ain't no SA case because you know how that works, right? XVYJC says you proved my point. You were the best player on the team and didn't talk and be all buddy with others, aka talented black men who didn't shuck and jive. Yeah, that was me. That was even in the orchestra that I played with. At one point, I was the best cello player amongst all of the young people in that organization, like the best one. And I'm talking about in front of all the Asian dudes, in front of all the East Asians, the Indians, and all that, right? But the problem wasn't necessarily me being the best. It was also that I didn't talk with them, and I wasn't really a welcoming person. I wasn't rude or mean. I'm just not. It just wasn't in my nature to go out my way to to ingratiate myself with those type of people. That's just what it was. Maybe that makes me racist. I don't know. It is what it is. I only talked to like 2 people in that orchestra. One was an older white girl, and I think one other dude that was my principal cellist leader at one point. He was my leader at one point. So I talked to him, and he was Indian, but I literally talked to nobody else at that in the orchestra. So this is very common. Very, very, very common. XVYJZ says, I'm the same way even to this day. If I don't feel it, I'm not going to be fake and force it to make others comfortable. Like, yeah, and I'll say this, if I'm comfortable with somebody, I will go out my way to show you that, hey, I like what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. You don't owe me anything, but I like what you're doing. I like what you stand for, or I like how you do things. And that's just how I live life. But a lot of people, they take offense to that. Kyler Murray kind of suffers through that a little bit, I've noticed. So, and he was the best football player in high school, in Texas, high school football, Texas history. You know what I mean? So this is that happens with a lot of introverted black talented athletes. You know what I mean?
ruined the team, leading to their worst season during Bonds' career at ASU. Barry Bonds, however, was amazing. After 3 years, he proved he was one, if not the best player in the country. He was drafted 6th overall by the Pirates and was promoted to the major leagues after just 1 minor league season. And in 1990, he broke out, winning a Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, and MVP award at 25. The Pirates were emerging as one of the best teams in the league, and Bonds had solidified himself as their best player. But according to the press, a lot of his teammates and fans hated him. In 19
Yeah, they'll always say that. Oh man, his teammates hated him. Or maybe the teammates might have not been fond of him. May not have been fond, but a lot of these things are exaggerated. So you got to really take these clippings, these reports with a grain of salt. And usually when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, oh, he's not an ass kisser. Because later on in this documentary, you're going to hear the things that he got in trouble for. And it's going to be very interesting.
1988, Bonds got into an altercation with teammate Andy Van Slyke, who was upset with Bonds after he got out at home because he was jogging to the plate. Van Slyke confronted Bonds in the clubhouse, which led to punches being thrown. But instead of their teammates breaking up the fight, they apparently joined in, took Van Slyke's side, and all beat up Bonds together. This began a string of negative press.
Now, this is alleged, but I know what it's like when it's like if I'm talking about if it's like one black player and he has his own way of doing things, or one black person, and then it's like all white teammates. If they have a problem with you, if they have the opportunity to, they'll jump you. So this happened to me. I think I told this story about when I was in elementary school. Like, it was a group of kids that I already knew. They were planning to jump me, but I caught wind of this because another black girl who had my back at that time, she warned me. She was like, these people, they try to jump. I'm like, who? She's like, I don't want to say it, but she said like most of some of them is people that and one of them is like one of your best friends or used to be one of your best friends. And I was like, nah, there's no way. And then turned out she was, not only was it one of it was like 2 or 3 of them that used to be on my tip. And then all of a sudden they want to jump me for whatever happened at recess and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that can happen. That can happen. When I was going into high school, one soccer player, when I made varsity as a freshman, one white player came up to me. He said, I'm sorry. I got you all wrong. When I first saw you at captain's practice, I thought you were just a one-trick pony, but your game is more layered than what I thought it was. I'm sorry but he basically said, I'm sorry for hating on you. I'm always going to have your back. Now, I was so appreciative that he told me this because I knew it wasn't just him. I knew it wasn't just him. So when you have certain people that have that kind of mentality, if I caused any trouble, thankfully that this didn't happen to me. Thankfully this didn't happen to me in high school. But say if I had any beef, say if I fucked any of these guys' girls, right? I would have gotten jumped. So any opportunity to put you in your place, if you get into an altercation with one of those guys, yeah, that can happen to you. You all of a sudden you getting jumped by these people that you had no idea was hating on you the whole time. And I ended up finding out the people who they were that was, going behind my back and saying all types of crazy stuff about me in high school. And I never really did anything about it. But this is some true things, man. So this is very XBYJC said Carmelo Anthony. That's another case that, I already said my opinion on that. I just think that unfortunately that situation, that's a parental guidance moment, meaning this is what happens when you're leaving these young kids out here with no parental guidance, people trying to show out for girls and all this stuff. That's what happens. That's what happens. They try to jump Carmelo Anthony, and he tried to defend himself, and ta-da! What they do on Nightcap? Yeah, Shannon Sharp be having me laughing when he does that. He'll be like, ta-da! Yeah. So that's what can happen. You know, a lot of people are a little bit too emotional about that case, so I don't really try to bring up that case. I just think that unfortunately, this is what happens when you don't have a parental guidance in these situations. But yeah, they did try to jump Carmelo, and they jumped the wrong one. You know, that is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Coming out against Bonds, which eventually forced him out of Pittsburgh. In 1990, he made comments that...
Oh, wait, and let me make this clear. This is not like something that white people do regularly. I'm just saying when they have the numbers and you're like the only black person there, you are in danger. Say if you are in odds with one of these people, if you present any type of a physical threat, you can get jumped, especially if they do have the numbers. So that's something I want to put out there. This is not like something that white people just do. This just only happens in certain towns when they got the numbers, or certain communities. In general, if they're like out in, like, white people in general, like out in the general public, they're not doing that. Right? That's just what happens in a certain type of community.
Criticized an injured teammate who had to miss a start in the playoffs, an opinion that was widely unpopular in the clubhouse. After that series, he got into an altercation with another teammate on the plane and ended up flipping a pizza into his face. The next year, Bonds was vocal that
a lot of these things are allegations, mind you. These could all be lies. Just to let you know, like Mario Balotelli, he would have these things posted about him on like the Independent, the Daily Sun, Daily Mail, etc. And him and his people have come forward and at the time it said like 80% of these things like they didn't even happen. Even the positive stories, like they will talk about like the positive stories about him giving money to like homeless people or whatever. And he said like that's not even true. I didn't do that. He said most of these stories are not even true, but they'll post these things like they're fact on the newspaper. And they don't, and then the newspaper don't even have to the online articles or the people that made these online articles, they don't even have to print a retraction.
He believed he was underpaid, and despite being under team control for another 2 seasons, he told the media that if the Pirates didn't pay him a $3 million salary, he would, quote, leave Pittsburgh and haunt them the rest of his career. He ended up not getting the $3 million he wanted, and according to one account, tried to fight the team's general manager during the arbitration meeting. After this, Bonds...
That's cap. That's cap. He didn't try to fight the general manager, but this is the things that they'll print on you. Now, I'm pretty sure he was talking aggressive, like, Nick, give me my money. I'm that ninja, man. Give me my money. And unfortunately, Barry Bonds, I'll say this, if you are a black person and if you are a black male athlete and you are physically confrontational on the regular with Caucasian players or particularly Caucasian people of authority, you're gonna suffer. you're definitely gonna suffer. You're gonna suffer in the media.
Publicly called the Pirates out.
Carl, trade me. To save yourself a lot of grief, you can just trade me and not have to worry about it. I'll see you when we play.
Bonds wanted out of Pittsburgh but was stuck, and when he reported to spring training that year, things boiled over.
I snapped.
While warming up, Bonds became annoyed that he was being filmed by a camera crew. A Pirates employee confronted him, saying that the cameras were asked to be there, and Bonds fought back. Then, a Pirates coach confronted Bonds. Not liking how Bonds was addressing the coach, manager Jim Leland came over and ripped Bonds to shreds.
LOL. So because he didn't get traded, he started acting a fool. First of all, that's normal today, especially in the NBA. That's just normal behavior. But there's something to that. There's something to this in a little while.
So let's get the I don't want to see no more.
Bonds later acknowledged that he was in the wrong and Jim Leland had every right to tear into him, but also said he believed the Pirates set him up and that they put a camera and a microphone there to make him look bad. This video.
I agree. Organizations they'll do stuff like this to kind of put you in a negative light. Same thing with what the Celtics did with Jaylen Brown when he started speaking more of his mind. All of a sudden, he's nobody likes him, and he's the what did they say? He was the sixth best player on the team, or they said that Jaylen Brown is really, if you're going by the analytics, he's the sixth best player on the Celtics team. Bruh, stop. I was laughing when I saw that article of Jaylen Brown coming out. That was funny. I was close to doing a live stream on that, just off of that alone. I was like, damn, they're about to do Jaylen Brown dirty so they can mess up his trade value, so they can doctor up his trade value. I'm like, this is some crazy work that they're doing to him.
Created a firestorm and basically gave the press an excuse to dig up any negative rumor about Bonds and trash him for it. Peter Gammons heard he was a pain on MLB's tour of Japan, saying there was a rumor about him throwing a Japanese player's gift on the floor, also saying that one anonymous
allegations. What did Rick Ross say? Accusations. False accusations. These are all allegations right here.
Video created a firestorm and basically gave the press an excuse to dig up any negative rumor about Bonds and trash him for it. Peter Gammons heard he was a pain on MLB's tour of Japan, saying there was a rumor about him throwing a Japanese player's gift on the floor, also saying that one anonymous player said Bonds was the second worst thing to happen to Japan since the bombing of Hiroshima. And even a report said
that's kind of funny. But like I said, accusations. Accusations.
Accusations. These are not accusations. This is false accusation. And
that Dick Vitale told somebody that he was a pain during the baseball slam dunk contest. Whether it was fair or not, the media painted Bonds in the worst light possible, making him a villain in his own city. But despite all this negativity, he dominated. He finished second in MVP voting that year. The next year, he won it. He won 3 Gold Gloves in a row, 3 Silver Sluggers in a row, 2 MVPs, led the league in OPS 4 years in a row, and this was years before he ever touched steroids. Bonds,
bruh, imagine being labeled as the bad guy, getting your name muddied up in the media, and you still win 2 to 3, what they say, 2 to 3 MVPs in that span. That means he was the GOAT. That means, because you do know, like, anything like negative about you in the media, especially when it comes to baseball writers, these are the most sensitive pieces of trash that you're gonna run across, but the baseball writers. And he still wins MVP, National League MVP. That is impressive. If you have negative press on you, you can't win MVP. You know that, right? Like they'll make like any excuse for you to not win MVP if you got negative press on you. But that means he was that guy for real. That guy. So, anyways.
Was hands down the most complete player in baseball, but in many ways was treated like an afterthought. Players like Ken Griffey Jr., Frank Thomas, Randy Johnson had inferior numbers, but had way more star power. And even in Pittsburgh, the press called him childish, said the Pirates made a mistake by not trading him, and called him selfish for not signing for less money. And Bonds had legitimate reasons to be.
Do you hear that? They called him selfish and childish for not signing for less money. They wanted an MVP to give the team a discount. And that made him a bad guy. So we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. The people that we call bad, the people that we call problematic. And a lot of the times, all they were trying to do was negotiate for more money. And then all of a sudden, they're worse than the Austrian painter. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy work. You see this? This is crazy. They said, whine all you want, Barry Bonds, but the bottom line is that you're boorish, childish, foolish, act is a shameful exhibition that disgusts the public.
Said the Pirates made a mistake by not trading him and called him selfish for not signing for less money. And Bonds had legitimate reasons to be upset with the Pirates. For example, they refused to give him the $3 million salary he asked for, yet paid his teammate Andy Van Slyke, who was significantly less productive, a $4.3 million salary. These two famously didn't get along, and their beef climaxed in the biggest game possible, and according to Van Slyke, may have cost the Pirates the World Series, because Barry Bonds was dominant, but he did have one critique on his game.
He sucked in the playoffs. I mean, he was horrible.
Bonds won MVP and helped carry his team to the playoffs for the first time in 1990. When he got there, he disappeared.
You were just like, joking right now.
The next year, the Pirates were a game away from the World Series, but lost. That postseason, Bonds only batted 148.
This slump is over what you been seriously slump. Same thing that happened last year. Who's slump? You're slump. You're batting.
Then, the very next year, they found themselves in the same situation. The Pirates entered the 9th inning of Game 7, up 2 runs, and at this point only needed 1 out to go to the World Series. According to Andy Van Slyke, at this point, he told Bonds to play more shallow. Bonds looked at him and gave him the middle finger. Francisco Cabrera.
But is there like an actual video of him giving the middle finger to that call? But like I said, a lot of these things are allegations. So I'll take their word for it. Maybe he did on that situation.
Then hit a single at Bonds, whose throw was off just enough to allow the winning run to score by an inch. According to Andy Van Slyke, if Bonds had been playing more shallow like he told him to, Bonds would have had a better chance to throw out the runner, and this could have been a completely different outcome. Despite winning MVP that year, the press focused on his playoff performance and claimed his stock was, quote, at an all-time low.
You could be an MVP, but the media will they'll tell you, even though that's not true, that his stock is at an all-time low. If you are an MVP of any sport, that's I don't care what you did in the playoffs. If you're available for trade, there's gonna be people trying to get at you. Pyro says, I don't like the media at all. I hate these people with a passion. Garrett Grant says, Barry Bonds had a Hall of Fame career just with his Pittsburgh years. Exactly. With the Pittsburgh career alone, he's had 2 Hall of Fame careers, technically. XVYJZ says, like Lamar, they said that he shouldn't play QB after winning a Heisman. Then he wins 2 MVPs, and he should have won a 3rd MVP, but was robbed because they felt sorry for Josh Allen. Like me, I don't even acknowledge Josh Allen as an MVP. I refuse. That's just awful. That's just awful. I call it the MVP that Josh Allen had. That's called the HD MVP, the Here Damn MVP. That's what they gave him. I don't even acknowledge it. I don't acknowledge it. Garrett Grant says, facts, baseball writers are petty as F. We're still looking for the one person that didn't vote for Jeter to be in the Hall of Fame. Oh, also, Garrett, do you know that Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't unanimous? Do you know that? Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't unanimous. You'd have thought of all people. Of all people, you'd have thought he'd be unanimous. No, he wasn't unanimous. There was one person that didn't vote for him. Like, and we're still trying to figure out who didn't vote for Ken Griffey. You know what it is though with Ken Griffey? You know what it is? That hat with the you know Ken Griffey Jr., the hat backwards thing. That's what it is. People might think it's petty. People might think it's me reaching. Homie, there was probably some, those old school baseball writers that they were steaming at Ken Griffey Jr. just chilling with his hat backwards, hitting them out of the park in the home run derby. Bro, I know people might think, what, men can be very petty like that? Yes. There's no logical explanation that you could tell me where Ken Griffey Jr. he is not a unanimous. It should be unanimous in terms of getting into the Hall of Fame. It should have been. It shouldn't even be. It shouldn't even have been a discussion. Yeah. So somebody said, yeah, and he said that Derek Jeter wasn't unanimous as a Hall of Famer. This is like when you're dealing with a There's certain people that are hating on you, and you would have no idea. You'd be like, where did this negative article? Where did this come from? And the guy was probably the person that said that Derek Jeter shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame. The guy's probably a Red Sox fan, or he's probably connected to Boston in some way. Has to be, because there's no way. Anybody with common sense should know, oh, this is automatic. Derek Jeter, Ken Griffey Jr., automatic. Especially with Ken Griffey Jr. That's just it's criminal. That's just criminal. Ken Griffey Jr. not being unanimous Hall of Famer, that's just crazy work. I couldn't believe it when Ken Griffey said that. He's like, oh yeah, I wasn't unanimous. And I looked it up. I was like, what are we doing? But baseball writers, these people, boy. Don't get me started with those guys.
In reality, the opposite was true. That offseason, the Giants gave Bonds the biggest contract in Major League history. The Pirates had lost their best player, and according to them, couldn't be happier. One writer said that they threw a parade when Bonds left. When he returned to play the Pirates the next year, he was booed. Fans threw fake money onto the field, and according to reports, when he went to the Pirates locker room to say hello to his old teammates, they completely ignored him. And as much controversy that Bonds went through in his
allegations,
his final few years in Pittsburgh, the controversy he faced in his first few years with the Giants was a lot worse. In his first spring training, it was reported that he punched Padres outfielder Phil Plantier in the face after he threw a bat at Bonds in the batting.
Wait a minute. So somebody throws a bat at Bonds and then they mad that he punched him? How does that make him the bad guy? Hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure I heard this right.
Pittsburgh, the controversy he faced in his first few years with the Giants was a lot worse. In his first spring training, it was reported that he punched Padres outfielder Phil Plantier in the face after he threw a bat at Bonds in the batting cages. Even though he got punched in the face, Plantier apparently apologized to Bonds. Bonds again.
So in the look at this in the article, Plantier takes the full responsibility about what happened. He said, this was my fault. Watch. It says, I take the blame for everything Plantier said. It was my fault. It's no big deal. I apologize to Barry. I'm sorry it happened. But what does the headline say? Barry Bonds punches Plantier. You see how evil that is? Do you see how manipulative that is? That is some evil stuff right there. Some real evil behind the scenes.
Apparently apologized to Bonds. Bonds again was thrown into scandal after scandal. An adult actress sued him, claiming that she was pregnant with his child.
That can happen to any man. So that's whatever.
Turned out to be false, but was still printed everywhere. He then
you see what the person said. He said that this was all false, but the headlines was printed everywhere. This is some interesting stuff.
Went through a messy and extremely public divorce, which the press followed and reported on almost daily. Bonds ended up going to court to lower his child support. The judge ruled in his favor, but afterwards asked him for his autograph. In a 1995 court appearance, his ex-wife accused him of assault, citing 5 different incidents throughout their marriage.
So those was, that's just, he was abusive, right? if you let all women tell it that all of their ex-husbands are abusives and they be doing WWE pile drivers on them and Rey Mysterio 619 moves on them. If you let them tell it, but she clearly was lying about that.
Serious as these allegations were, Bonds was also in hot water for minor things, like Willie Mays reportedly being upset with Bonds because he didn't accept his MVP award in person. And the media even published an open letter from a high school history teacher who accused Bonds of parking in a spot reserved for teachers to use the high school field to work out during the school day, which
that's funny.
He says distracted his students. Bonds was getting torn apart for serious.
That's petty. It's Barry Bonds. He took your spot. He took your parking spot. He didn't know that was your spot. That's hate. Now that's hate. Hold on. That's a funny story right there. That is a funny story. The students that day, they probably thought that was hilarious, and they probably wanted to see Barry Bonds. So they look at it in a positive manner, but the teacher he took my parking spot. That had to be a male teacher. That was a male teacher. That was a jealous male teacher right there.
Accept his MVP award in person, and the media even published an open letter from a high school history teacher who accused Bonds of parking in a spot reserved for teachers to use the high school field to work out during the school day, which he says distracted his students. Bonds was getting...
No, that's hate. That's hate. So it wasn't even his spot. It was just a teacher parking spot. Come on, stop that. You see, this is just hate. That's just hate, bro.
Torn apart for serious accusations by the media, but was also seemingly getting just as much grief for things that, in all honesty, shouldn't have even been stories. This speaks to his relationship with the media, which boiled over in 1996 when it was reported that he pushed a reporter in the clubhouse because, according to Bonds, he had been waiting in the clubhouse for an interview for too long. But despite all this constant negativity, as usual, he absolutely destroyed the league. As soon as he got to San Francisco, he won his third MVP, made the All-Star team 6 years in a row, won 5 Gold Gloves, and never had an OPS under 1,000. By 1999, Bill James not only named Bonds as hands down the best player of the 90s, he ranked him the 34th best player of all time, while only being 33 years old, with a third of his MLB career ahead of him. And all of this was without steroids. Bonds was already one of the greats.
So I'm looking at these videos. I'm already seeing a lot of these pictures with him with a receding hairline. So this whole thing about, oh man, his head grew because he was taking this and that. But I'm like, well, he already had that type of shape of head. No disrespect to Barry Bonds, but you know. But anyways.
However, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire were setting home run records, becoming national icons, and despite both having worse numbers, were crowned by the public as the players of the 90s. Turns out these players were on steroids, and it seems like the accolades they were getting inspired Bonds
and actually tested positive for steroids,
becoming national icons, and despite both having worse numbers, were crowned by the public as the players of the 90s. Turns out these players were on steroids, and it seems like the accolades they were getting inspired Bonds to do the same. In 1999, Bonds showed up to spring training noticeably heavier. He also started bringing his new trainer, Greg Anderson, into the clubhouse. 6 years later, this trainer...
That's interesting. We'll get into that in a little bit. Let me rewind that back. Let me read these 2 comments right here. XVY Jay-Z says, exactly, they also aren't mentioning all the racist name calling that Bonds checked them, but they only highlight the reaction. This is true, and this is also part of the reason why even on his off time he wasn't OD, so like he wasn't trying to go out of his way to, you know, sign a whole bunch of autographs because people were saying foul stuff to him. So he was like, hey, I don't got to deal with that shit. XVY says if he was as bad as they say they would have been, they would have been locked him up. And that's always I always say this, you can tell somebody's a real one is if you just see article after article after article after news clipping after news clipping after news clipping, right? And it's all petty stuff, but they're just posting all their business all over the newspaper. But it's like it's nothing serious. And you're like, oh, okay, that's how you know this guy is actually, he's not that bad of a person. He can't be that bad. That's how you usually know. And then guys like that, if there's even steroids even mentioned, they're gonna put that person on blast because they're already on this man's business, right?
As the players of the 90s. Turns out these players were on steroids, and it seems like the accolades they were getting inspired Bonds to do the same. In 1999, Bonds showed up to spring training noticeably heavier. He also started bringing his new trainer, Greg Anderson, into the clubhouse. 6 years later, this trainer would be in jail. According to one account, over the next several years, his hat size grew 2 sizes. His jersey went from size 42 to 52. His shoe size went from 10.5 to 13.
But I'll say this, they're saying from the past 10 years. What about the previous season? So I always try to, you know, people say they can pinpoint when Barry Bonds started taking steroids. But I always say, okay, what specific season do you think he started? And then I will compare and contrast the photos that he had between that season and the next season. And I was like, what's really the difference between his size in that season and his size on the next season. So that's always been my thing. I'm like, oh, okay. So he started in the middle of this season, but yet I'm looking at a picture of him from the previous season. He doesn't look that noticeably different. But you see, you got to catch the slickness that they use, the slick words that they use. Watch this.
Noticeably heavier. He also started bringing his new trainer Greg Anderson into the clubhouse. 6 years later, this trainer would be in jail. According to one account, over the next several years.
Right. 10 years. 10 years, they say. Watch this.
This trainer would be in jail. According to
10 years after 756, a reminder of what Barry Bonds' record really means.
One account, over the next
right? Authors Lance Williams and Mark Fanaru Wade cataloged the transmogrification of Bonds. His jersey size grew from 42 to 52. His hat size from 7 in an eighth to 7 1/4, and his shoe size from 10.5 to 13. Bonds gained at least 55 pounds since his days in Pittsburgh. So from his days in Pittsburgh, he's gained 55 pounds. From his days in Pittsburgh, his shoe size grew from this to this. From his days in Pittsburgh, his hat size grew. So they can't. So that's a bit of a muddy timeline. But that's just my opinion on that. You don't even have to follow my lead on that. But I think it's a bit slick where they're not telling you, oh no, this transformation, this is from Pittsburgh to now. But anyways,
several years, his hat size grew 2 sizes. His jersey went from size 42 to 52. His shoe size went from 10.5 to 13, and Bonds would gain at least 55 pounds from his days in Pittsburgh. At 35 years old, Bonds hit more home runs than he had his entire career, and at the time, the overall public didn't seem suspicious. The next year, he broke the single-season home run record by hitting an insane 73. When the Diamondbacks decided to intentionally walk him, their fans booed their own team. His reputation was at an all-time high. However, it didn't last because the next year featured a fight with a teammate, his most crushing defeat, and a story that ruined his career forever. But before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor. Your time is valuable, guys.
Okay, we go skip his little sponsorship. Oh, let me not say little. So I'm sorry, I gotta stop doing that. Here we go. Now, here we go.
In June 2002, a groundbreaking article written by Tom Verducci exposed baseball's steroid problem to the public for the first time. Bonds was mentioned in the article as a suspicious case, and this is when the questions about steroids started being asked. Later in the season, he fought his own teammate Jeff Kent after Kent supposedly berated second baseman David Bell after he made an error. Bonds stood up for Bell, causing a dugout fight in front of the world. Turns out these two had been beefing for years. When they first met in spring training a few years earlier, Bonds supposedly told Kent he was sitting in his seat on the team bus and had to move to the back. Kent refused, and they had tensions ever since. After this fight, Kent said that he and Barry had fought on at least a half a dozen occasions and said, quote, "I don't care about Barry, and Barry doesn't care about me or anybody." Also adding that on the field, they were fine. And that part seemed true.
That's normal. That's normal stuff. Most of people's favorite players done got into fights with their own teammates. So that's, yeah. that's just life. But anyways,
Jeff Kent won MVP that year and Bonds placed second. Together, they took the Giants all the way to the World Series. And finally, Bonds performed, putting up World Series numbers that would have gone down in history. Unfortunately, once again, Bonds' team lost in heartbreaking fashion, blowing a 3-2 lead in the series. The next season, only a month after the passing of his father, news broke that a company Bonds had ties to had been raided and was being investigated for selling steroids. Bonds was finally officially linked to PEDs, causing a media firestorm, which eventually tarnished his career for good.
You wanted me to jump off the bridge? I finally jumped.
Yeah, because now his name was connected to it because that was the trainer that he was using, and the trainer was connected to Balco.
You wanted to bring me down. You finally brought me and my family down.
finally done it.
A few months later, Bonds' trainer was indicted for his involvement in steroids. For Bonds, this meant accusation after accusation.
Next question. Next question, because it was stupid.
That offseason, Bonds had to testify in front of a grand jury where he told the judge that he had never knowingly taken steroids and that he had been giving substances from his trainer that could have been steroids, but at the time, he thought they were flaxseed oil. Nobody in the world believed this, and lying under oath is a federal crime. Bonds was later indicted.
And it was very interesting, even with that situation. I'm like, why does the feds give a fuck about baseball or somebody potentially using something that he may not have known that he was using, just for, like I said, just for baseball, just for some for a baseball record, right? And it's very, these are the same people. Oh man, sports don't matter. He's just an athlete. But the feds are going out their way for one dude. That sounds like a personal problem.
For perjury for saying this and faced prison time for obstruction of justice. Bonds was the biggest target in sports and was being questioned day after day and had.
And I remember during that time, they had his face plastered with this steroid situation and his links to that. And basically, they were trying to put charges on him for saying that he lied. So to summarize it up, they try to put a charge on him because he said that he unknowingly he did not knowingly take steroids, and they're just challenging the veracity of that statement. So it's not even about a matter of let's get a blood test, let's get a test right now. It's not even that. It's just, did you knowingly or unknowingly? Now, when you have these trainers, a lot of these trainers are always giving their athletes a little bit of something. Let me keep it, but most of these trainers that are affiliated with these big, athletes, they're giving their players something that maybe it's not banned now, but it's going to eventually get banned. That's usually what it is, so that's not even a abnormal occurrence, right? So that's what they try to put him a charge with. So it's not even a matter of, can we get you to say you took steroids? They're trying to put a charge on him for saying that he unknowingly did. So it's a kind of a weird loophole that they were able to do that, so they can keep his face on the news and keep his face linked to steroids, even though he never tested positive for any illegal substances in his career.
No choice but to deny everything.
All you guys lied. All of y'all. Should you have asterisks behind your name? All of you have said something wrong. All of you have dirt. When your closet's clean, then come clean somebody else's.
But somehow, in the middle of all this turmoil, Bonds was having arguably the most dominant stretch in baseball history. He won 4 MVPs in a row, led the league in OPS, slugging, on-base percentage, and walks 4 years in a row. During those 4 years, he accumulated more WAR than 5 entire teams during that same span. He accumulated more WAR than Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, and 34 other Hall of Famers had in their entire careers. And Bonds did it from age 36 to 39. This insane stretch put him on pace to
GOAT.
break the all-time home run record at a time when the entire sport was enthralled with steroids. Player after player was getting accused, but Barry was still playing at the highest level, fairly or unfairly.
Interesting. During that time, yet they made him the face of steroids. Yet he was the only person that was still playing. One has to question, like, so surely they have a positive test of, they tested him. And I'm pretty sure during this time they were definitely testing him. Or if they weren't, I don't know what the hell that's about. If they weren't, that means they throw the whole system away. If that's the case, that means you're just wasting everybody's time. So during this time, you don't have no positive steroid tests at all to give to the public. So what are we doing here? But they made him the face of steroids, even though Mark McGuire was going through it. He's not playing no more. Sammy Sosa going through it, not playing no more. Roger Clemens, I think he was still playing too, if I'm not mistaken, but they don't mention him for some reason.
Making him the face of steroids. And worst of all, he was chasing the most sacred record in baseball. What should have been one of the most celebrated pursuits in history was met with boos, negative articles, nonstop questions about steroids, and sign after sign calling Bonds a fraud. At 42 years old, Bonds had an OPS over 1,000, led the league in on-base percentage, intentional walks, and passed Hank Aaron for the all-time home run king. However, the next year, despite being willing to play for league minimum, not a single team in baseball offered Barry Bonds a contract. For many, including Bonds, this was a clear-cut case of collusion.
Facts. That was collusion. Yes.
Was being blackballed from the league, but teams argued they weren't willing to risk signing a player who was in the middle of being indicted by the U.S. government. Finally, in 2011, Bonds stood trial and was convicted for obstruction of justice, stemming back from his 2003 court appearance where he had led
obstruction of justice. That was a charge. And watch this. Stay with me. Stay with me now. Stay with me now. Watch this.
Allegedly falsely claimed he never knowingly took steroids. He was sentenced to 30 days of house arrest. However, in 2015, after 12 years of court cases, the decision was reversed.
Now, how many people even know about this? That Barry Bonds' obstruction of justice charge was reversed in appeals court in 2015. How many people even know about this? Because when I saw this documentary, or when I saw this documentary by this YouTuber, I didn't even know that the bogus charge that they put on him, they ended up reversing it in appeals court. That's crazy. So it's not even a thing. So there's basically no real evidence of him taking steroids. This is some interesting stuff, man. So even with the obstruction of justice charge, because that's the most that they could give him, even though I don't know why that case went all the way to the freaking feds. I don't know why they give a fuck about a baseball player. Athletes don't matter. All right. Oh man. But even then, the obstruction of justice charge, it gets reversed. And I didn't see this on ESPN. I didn't see this on First Take. I didn't see this on FS1, MLB Network. I didn't see this. So the conviction got reversed in appeals court, but nobody put it on TV. That's crazy. That's crazy work.
Fortunately, the damage was done. Bonds' career was over, going down as one of the most successful, dominant, and controversial careers in Major League history.
You see how the media can literally turn your career. You can be the best player in your position, in your sport, and they can take your career and just, I don't have a piece of paper. Do I have a piece of paper on me? They can just take your career and just be like, we don't like you. Throw it away. Do you see what happened to him? He only has ties to it because of his trainer. And because he said I did take the substances that the trainer told me to take, but I didn't know if that was steroids or not, or that was flaxseed oil or whatever the fuck. Whether he's lying or not, at the end of the day, he does have some kind of plausible deniability. But for them to take it all the way to the feds, and then they convict him for obstruction of justice because they don't believe that he was telling the truth. And then they ended up reversing it in appeals court. That means Barry Bonds believes he was telling the truth, so he appealed it. Isn't that what we tell dudes? If they lying on you, appeal it. So He says that they were lying on him. He appealed it. And he won. But it was on no news networks. It was not on ESPN, on nothing. But the damage is already done. Just the link that he had with that trainer that was linked to Balco, that's all they needed. That's all they needed. The excuse that they needed to tarnish the best baseball career ever. Now, mind you, he's never I think this year that was his last chance to get into the Hall of Fame, and it's over after that. So he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. You can literally be the best player ever. And the media can do that to you. So I know this was about sports, but I want you to take this as a warning. Take this as a warning. And like I said, we there's a lot, race has to do a lot with this, but trust me, nobody's exempt. Nobody's exempt from the nasty work that a bad media image, bad PR, what it could do to your career, what it could do to your family, what it could do to your family name. And at the end of the day, there's really nothing you can do about it. There's really nothing he could do about it. He can maybe sue later on, but Barry Bonds, he's in his 60s now. People forget he's in his then he's got to be in his 60s now, if I'm not mistaken, because when he retired, he was like 43 or something. And he was still at the top of his game. And he got blackballed out of the league. Let me see, Barry Bonds' age. Yeah, he's 61 years old. He's 61 years old. Crazy. It's really scary when you see something like this. Now, a lot of people may not be able to see through this. They might not be able to relate because they don't see that happening to them. But this is why I remember somebody was mad at me in the chat when I said if I was an athlete, I would make sure certain people, if I had the resources to, I would pay off certain people in the media to make sure my name stays clean. So I'll be like, look, if a woman comes forward and says I did this, make sure you did that ish, and make sure my reputation is clean with this, and then I'll have my handler or my agent or my whatever make sure the personal stuff doesn't leak to the media. And you got to make sure you have people in the media that you're cool with to keep your name clean. I would do so because Barry Bonds is the best baseball player ever. And they were able to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. How can bad media PR be enough to keep the best baseball player ever out of the Hall of Fame? You're the best baseball player ever, and they can keep you out of the Hall of Fame because of bad PR, because of bad media image. Whether or not he took steroids, he still had 2 Hall of Fame careers. One with the Pirates alone and another one with the Giants. Not many people could say I had 2 Hall of Fame careers. But this is the danger. This is the danger. This is what the media can do to you. That's crazy. Crazy when you think about a bad media image, bad media PR can keep the best baseball player out of the Hall of Fame. If the reporters don't like you enough, they can keep the best baseball player, one of the best athletes of all time. Mind you, if you ask most people, they'll tell you what's the hardest sport to play. They'll say baseball. So that technically means Barry Bonds is one of the best athletes to ever live in general. And they can keep possibly the best athlete to ever play, possibly the best American athlete that we've ever had, according to their logic. And they can keep you out the Hall of Fame because of personal issues. Because it's not because of steroids. Don't let the people fool you. It's not because of steroids. Because David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame. Manny Ramirez is in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot of players that they just let into the Hall of Fame that they literally tested positive for PED usage. They were allowed into the Hall of Fame. A lot of former Boston Red Sox players that were cheating, they put them in the Hall of Fame. So it's not because of steroids. It's because of bad media PR, a bad media image. The reporters have beef with you. So if they have beef with you, even though you did nothing to them, but maybe just be a bit aloof, you didn't really take them seriously because they're reporters. They're not that important, right? In a sportsman's mind, right? Because of bad media PR, they can keep one of the best athletes of all time, the best baseball player of all time. They can keep you out of the Hall of Fame. And people wonder why LeBron James be paying off people in the media. Of course he be doing that. I don't blame him for that. Oh, you just no, you got to. You have to. Oh man, shout out to Garrett Grant, man. Shout out to Garrett Grant. Pyro says so they will dog him and tell the public that the case was bogus. It's interesting. So Garrett Grant here says I didn't know it got reversed after all of these years. I can't even find the reversal on YouTube. I can only find it via an article here and there. They don't even talk about it. It's not even on YouTube, bro. It's not even on YouTube. Watch this. Watch this. I can search it up on Google. Barry Bonds court case reversed. Court, let me see. Right? If you go on, ESPN, they have the article right here. Barry Bonds obstruction conviction thrown out by appeals. You can only find it via the articles, right? April 22nd, 2015, the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals reversed Barry Bonds' 2011 conviction for obstruction of justice in a 10-1 decision. The court ruled that there was insufficient evidence that his rambling celebrity child answered to a grand jury was legally material to the government's investigation into steroid distribution. The reversal officially ended a nearly decade-long federal prosecution. This was a federal prosecution on a baseball player over semantics. This is crazy work. The original verdict in 2011, a jury convicted Bonds on one count of obstruction of justice for giving evasive answers to a 2003 grand jury while deadlocking on 3 other perjury charges. He was originally sentenced to 30 days of house arrest, blah, 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 blah. The appellate decision, the 11-judge panel of the 9th Circuit determined that a non-responsive meandering answer cannot be the basis for an obstruction of justice conviction. Duh. But if you put it in the media, they basically made it, they try to make him a bad guy for him defending himself, right? But that's, the media can do that to you. Finality. Because the reversal was based on insufficient evidence, Bonds was protected under double jeopardy and the charge was dismissed. In July 2015, the Department of Justice officially dropped the case by announcing it would not appeal the ruling to the U.S. Supreme Court. You didn't have a case anyways. Stop it. Oh yeah, we're dropping our pursuit, nigga, bruh. Stop. It's been over 10 years. Jesus Christ. Were these people really that mad that Bonds overtook Babe Ruth's record? Jesus Christ. they were that mad. Here we go.
Major curveball for Barry Bonds. An appeals court just threw out the former Giants criminal.
1.4 thousand views. Remember, 11 years ago, 1.4 thousand views, 0 comments. I told you, I didn't know that the conviction got overturned. I had no idea until literally last week. Last week. That's crazy. That is crazy. I gotta do more research in terms of because I remember trying to search it up on YouTube and I couldn't find nothing. Yeah, this is okay. Let me see. Now they wow. So they have the Barry Bonds conviction upheld video. They have that at 3,000 views, and then the overturned one, 1.4 thousand. That's crazy. That's crazy. They make sure that the guilty videos still have the high numbers, and then the overturned videos is literally the views are in the 3-digit mark. That's, oh my God, this is some evil stuff. People don't even know about this.
Major curveball.
This is evil stuff, man. This is some real evil behind the scenes. Garrett Grant says he has a chance to get in on the contemporary ballot in 2031. Yeah, this is just evil. This is evil work. Evil work. OJ Desire, what's up, man? Garrett Grant says, however, if he fails to get 5 votes from the veteran committee on the contemporary ballot, he will be permanently ineligible. Throw the whole Hall of Fame away. If Barry Bonds is not a Hall of Famer, nobody else is. Maybe Shohei Ohtani. But Ohtani is getting away with dirt himself. People, you think I forgot about that gambling situation with him and his agent, and then but he knows nothing about that. So we're just gonna fire the agent. We're gonna let Ohtani keep playing. They gotta stop playing with me, man. They need to stop playing with me with this. The media, boy. Man. So be careful out there, guys. There's the media, when it comes to the media, the PR game, it's an evil business. You always have to question when they tell you, okay, this is the bad guy. You got to be like, why are they telling me that this is the bad guy? You know what I'm saying? So this is very important. This is some very important stuff. And I want to highlight the comment that Garrett Grant said. He said, I didn't know it got reversed after all these years. 11 years ago, it got reversed, 2015. I didn't know until last week. The only video about this, 1.4 thousand views, 0 comments. The guilty videos where they found him guilty of obstruction of justice in 2011, those have more views. Wow. It's incredible. It's incredible, man. But this is what, man, you got to be careful out here. Whatever you do, It can be flipped. The media has the power to keep the best player of all time out of the Hall of Fame. They have the power to tell they could just say he took steroids even though he never tested positive for steroids. There's no evidence. There's no evidence. And he proved it. They proved it because the obstruction of justice charge got appealed, and then the obstruction of justice, that's just semantics. That's semantics. That's literally semantics. Because he had a trainer that was linked to this. So I'm like, all right, so any trainer that's related to any, shady practices, what about Tom Brady's trainer? What about Tom Brady's trainer? Hasn't he been linked to certain things? I mean, do we want to go there? Is that the role we going on? But it's we don't have to go there. We don't have to go there. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Before I close, because I felt like I was preaching. before I close. Yeah, man. Before I close. Barry Bonds, his knowledge of the game is on a different level. I'm gonna show you that. I'm gonna show you why. I saw this video and it finally sunk in years ago. Barry Bonds had this video right here. Let me see this. Barry Bonds, Marlins. Let me see if I can find that video when he's talking with the reporter. This is a very powerful. When he's talking about, Barry Bonds explains the fundamentals of hitting when he was the hitting coach at the Florida Marlins. Let me see if I can bring up that video. This video right here, I watched this because I remember watching it when I was younger, and then it finally hit me in 2023. It's crazy. It's crazy how this works. Watch this. Watch this.
I don't care if you throw 100 miles an hour. I don't care if you throw 120 miles an hour. There's a catcher behind home plate, and that catcher catches that ball every time with a glove. Only thing I did was change the object from glove to a bat. And all I gotta do is catch it.
And where was your sweet spot right here then in this bat?
I was always right here. It's always right in this zone.
Right there in your area.
Right there. I don't like this. I don't like this. I like right here.
Right there. That's the barrel right there.
And I practice that every time in the cage. And if those marks are anywhere here, my technique is off. This has to become extension to my arm. If this doesn't become an extension to me, if we can't become one, then there's a problem. It's like golf, when you get that little driver in your hand or you get a little sand wedge, and I ain't no golfer, and you just take this nice easy swing and you just chip it, then all of a sudden you get that driver in your hand, all of a sudden you want to do all this and everything breaks down.
That's a problem.
It's a problem. All I did was not break down the problem.
What are your 3 keys of hitting? 3 keys. We have to go 3 keys. Where are they hitting?
Keeping your hands up is very important. Staying short and balanced. Your hands up, short and balanced. That's what keeps everything straight.
Now, what's interesting is I remember seeing that video as a kid when I was a little bit younger. I think I was in college at that time, or maybe high school. And it didn't really sink in. Then in 2022, 2023, I ended up watching the video again. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. That video in 2023, it made me a 200 times better soccer player. Now, I know this might not make sense to you guys. This might not make sense to you guys. But watching that video made me 200 times the better soccer player. I'm going to tell you why. It finally hit me. why sometimes I would struggle, sometimes I'd be great, and then sometimes I would struggle here. I remember because I just remember being in college, and I just remember going into the batting cage and just trying, hit a baseball off of a 60 to 70 mile per hour baseball. And I was struggling. And then they kept upping the speed because they was playing with me. It was a dude that I knew he played baseball, and I was like, what the I'm like, bro, yo, slow down. He's like, bro, this is not even at 80 yet. I was like, the fuck, how am I supposed to hit this? And I'm like, this is what these baseball players are doing. It's literally they're hitting. It turns into the ball is turning into a grain of salt when it's coming to you. And these are straight fastballs, mind you. So forget the 96 per hour. You got these dudes, they be doing 96 per hour sliders and 92 per hour knuckleballs. Like that's just ridiculous. And I started making the connection. I was like, wait a minute. How the fuck how am I struggling with my touch? The ball that how am I'm playing soccer and I'm struggling with my touch? How is that possible? The ball is this big. This is a size 5. The ball is coming. There's no way I should have a bad touch when I'm going off the logistics of what he's saying. And then even, when he's talking about hitting 100 miles per hour, he said, of course I can hit 100 miles per hour. There's a catcher behind home plate. He's catching the same ball. How? I'm just using the ball. I'm just using the bat as an extension of me. The bat is the extension of me. And I'm like, wait a minute. Then I really started looking at the cleats I was wearing, the shoes I was wearing, and I realized I've been wearing the wrong cleats. I've been wearing the wrong types of shoes. I need to be wearing the shoes where my touch can't even be questioned. It's perfect. That's when I changed to New Balance. I went from wearing these really bad shoes, these Adidas or Nike cleats. Well, and some Nike shoes weren't that bad, like the Nike Magistas. They weren't that bad. But I started to I realized I'm like, oh, I need to find something that's lightweight, but also good for wide feet. And I was able to find it in New Balance. And it took my game to a whole nother level. And I was like, this is what they mean when they talk about cross sports references, right? Or cross, in jazz, you can be a piano player, but you can still get a lesson from a trumpet player on how to play better. Or you can be a trumpet player and you can get a lesson from a guitar player, believe it or not. You'll have these cross instrument references. You can take a lesson from these people and still apply it to your particular field, right? And that was my first time experience of me taking a lesson from this sport and then applying it to my sport, and it just changed my game. Now everybody knows me now as like my touch is damn near immaculate now. It's damn near immaculate. But it was just that change of mentality. It wasn't even a change of technique. It was just a change of mentality. And my confidence just went sky high. Now I'm like, every time now I'll be talking with my siblings and my people, and I'm like, yo, make sure you're wearing this type of gear. Wear this with that. Because how you wear this, and now I'm like an expert at these things. Wearing not, you can't be like also making sure you're not wearing like cleats on turf. Now I know why athletes are getting all these injuries, right? Everything. I'm like, oh, okay, I see something clicked in me. I was like, this is what's been holding me back, right? My understanding of the game really started to slow down for me in a different type of way. This is from taking advice from a legendary baseball player from a different sport, and his advice was able to cross reference. So it's I was like, nah, this is not normal. This is not normal behavior. And I really started looking into the stats that Barry Bonds was putting, and I really started looking into the Barry Bonds story after that situation in 2023. And I realized we're doing Barry Bonds dirty. Like I already knew we were doing him dirty with the media and all this stuff, but I really started looking into the steroids thing. I'm like, wait a minute, what has he ever even tested positive? Nope. So I'm like, so it all does stem from the media. It all does stem from the media. Because I took it when I was a kid. I knew what was going on with Barry Bonds in terms of him and his bad relationship with the media. And I'm like, damn, that's gonna cost him. That's how I took it when I was a kid, but I didn't know the media would go that far to completely break his career by attaching a rumor to his career to completely destroy him. The greatest baseball player of all time. It's very interesting. You have there's even some baseball players coming forward and say, yo, actually Barry Bonds, his technique, his advice is why I won National League MVP and blah 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 and all this stuff. So it's now people are getting a little bit more braver, especially that now that they're seeing other players that actually did test positive for steroids, they were allowed to enter the Hall of Fame. It's very interesting. So now you have other dudes coming forward saying that. But it's kind of hard for people to come forward because the reporters hate him. They say this guy is the devil. So that's all it was all along. That's all it was. That's all it was. But anyways, let me end this stream right here. That's all I got for today. Let me see if I can look up the Ben 10 thing real quick. There's another I saw something else on Instagram where they had Kevin 11 been trying to teach us. There's a compilation they made of Kevin 11 giving like funny romantic advice. It was hilarious. Kevin from Ben 10 relationship advice. Somebody made like a funny compilation about this. I don't think, did I save it on my Instagram? Let me just search that real quick. If I can't find it in the first 2 minutes, I ain't even gonna trip over it. But it's one of the funniest, cartoon comps I've seen in a while. And I'm probably gonna send it to Pyro. I ain't even gonna hold you. I'm probably gonna send it to Pyro. Yeah, I can't find it. But it's like a real funny comp of Kevin from Ben 10. yeah, man. And he's really giving the it's really a fourth wall moment where he's actually trying to give the young boys advice, us, the viewers, but it's in a way where Gwen is basically deading it. So he'll say something that's actually really deep about what women do in relationships, and then Gwen will be like, and also, so what else are you trying to say? And he'll be like, well, that's what I used to think. Yo, it's perfect. I was just like, oh man, because it's shows like that where you'll have dudes, they'll be actually giving us game, like inside trader knowledge, like little red pills here and there. They couldn't just full out say what the game was, but they could give you like little red pills here and there and tell you what it is in the relationship game. And there's a funny compilation of Kevin doing that. It's one of the best compilations I've ever seen, because it got because it's got the memes in there. It's got the memes. Yeah, it's got the memes in there. It's got the all of that in there. Let me see. Kevin, Ben, 10. I come on, it's gotta be. If I search this, it's gotta, yeah, this is it. This is it. I found it. I found it, guys. This is it. This is it. This is one of the funniest comps I've ever seen in my life. Hold on for a second, man. Let me see if I can download that video real quick. Let me see if I can download that video. Because I want to play it on a full screen. I don't want to just that is a great video. Here we go. View. Here we go. We go download the video. Kevin 11 dropping knowledge. Oh man, here we go, guys. Here we go. We're about to drop the video for you. I found it. Here we go.
What were you talking about?
Elena and Ben.
What about them?
They're interested in each other. Anybody can see that. But she's gonna be a problem.
Oh?
Elena's the type who makes guys think she cares about them. But once they start to care about her, poof, she's gone. I've seen the type before, lots of times. I mean, I've heard about them from friends.
Yeah, then the future meme right after is hilarious. That's I'm sorry, man. That's great stuff right here.
Did you see the face Elena made when Ben mentioned Julie?
That's just the way girls are. You gotta take advantage, play one against the other.
Yo, this horse meme, that's crazy work. I don't know whoever came up with this stuff, but this is great cinematography right here.
At least that's what my friends say.
Which friends?
The ones I don't see anymore?
This is going on. This got to be, you know what? I don't know if this is going to be an outro video, but this got to be definitely one of my intro or outro videos. Yeah, the Drewski and the future photos are killing me. Now, you know what's killed? That horse. That horse photo of the horse looking side-eye at the owner. Yo, man. I'm like, I was watching this compilation on the train and I was laughing. I was trying so hard not to laugh because I was sitting right across somebody and I just happened to it just popped up on my phone. And when I saw it, and then when I saw that horse, that side eye with the horse, I was like, what? How'd they come up with this
Julie,
stuff?
That's just the way girls are. You gotta take advantage, play one against the other.
Like just right there with that side eye.
At least
that's great. I'm sorry, man. That's awesome. This I'm saving this video. And first of all, what Kevin was saying was facts. Forget the memes for a second. Everything that he was saying was facts. Yeah, the side eye was a masterpiece. It just was. I'm like, how did these people come up with these references? That's crazy.
What were you talking about?
Elena and Ben.
What about them?
They're interested in each other. Anybody can see that. But she's gonna be a problem.
Oh?
Elena's the type who makes guys think she cares about them. But once they start to care about her, poof, she's gone. I've seen the type before, lots of times.
Yeah, that Drewski meme, that's perfect. Because he's not wrong. These are facts. These are facts. But like stuff like that, you can't really put that in a kid's show. But they'll do that from time to time. They'll do that from time to time.
I mean, I've heard about them from friends.
That future one when he just put his hands behind his back. That's crazy work. Oh man. But he's first of all, those are facts. What he's saying, that's gonna be true for, unfortunately, especially you talk about American women, that's gonna be true for most American women.
Did you see the face Elena made when Ben mentioned Julie?
That's just the way girls are. You gotta take advantage, play one against the other.
Facts.
At least, that's what my friends say.
Which friends?
The ones I don't see anymore?
This nigga. That's how back in the day, that's how, back in the 2010s, they were able to drop like red pills here and there. That's the only way that they were able to do it. That's the only way that they could do it back then, man. Shout out to the voice actor that played Kevin Levin for giving us these gems. Anyways, man, shout out to you guys, man. I will be out. I think 5150s tonight. Oh, I recently went to a Corey Holcomb comedy show in New York. Just to let you know, he's completely doubled down. He didn't take away the pedophile jokes. He didn't take away, he's actually added grape jokes into his he's added more grape jokes into his set. He's doubling completely down. I was so proud. So yeah, 5150s show was tonight. Shout out to brother Corey. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's been a minute since I did a live stream, but I am back in business. World Cup was on. That was my focus, and I'm back to working too. Pyro says Gwen fighting for the sisterhood and Kevin read her mind. Facts. Shout out to Garrett, man. Peace out. What am I going to use for the outro video today? My new clip. Shout out to you guys, man.